right, let's get into this, shall we? Let's go ahead and mute that. Let's hit that, and all systems go. What's up? Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to the channel. You know, I thought to myself, let's go ahead. Let's have a little bit of an impromptu live stream here today because I'm sure there are a lot of waiver questions. I mean, it's a very interesting week here as we approach week 5. Of course, we already talked about running backs earlier today, but I'm here and I'm ready to answer your questions. So let's get into it, shall we? From the top, Lardis was saying, good morning, all. Now, my question, Lardis, is where are you from? It's good morning, because over here it's 8:40 p.m. Either way, good morning to you as well. Alfredo, Freddy, what's up, man? Carson may be out. With my number one waiver, do I skip on Murray, Williams, and or Collins if lack RB? I mean, technically, the question is, if you really don't have any other running backs and there's a legitimate concern and you don't think that Alex Collins is going to be there after waivers, then yeah, you should probably put in a waiver for, you know, Murray or Williams. But I think Collins will be there after your waivers run, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that as of this current moment in time. Just have to check something, make sure my audio. Yeah, we're chilling. Okay, cool. Either way, thanks, Freddie. Carlos says, hey, Andrew, flex Jacobs, Shepard, or OBJ. I don't know if Shepard's even going to play. I think it's relatively too early considering it's Tuesday. But between Jacobs and OBJ Cleveland, I don't even remember. They take on the Los Angeles Chargers. They've got a pretty good secondary there. So I'm probably just going to go with Jacobs in that specific scenario. But we'll see. Again, it's still relatively early. Let's hear. Freddie was saying Woods or Boyd in half PPR. As of this week, I'm most likely going to go with Boyd. Just, you know, target volume. We don't know if Higgins is back yet, and Boyd's been balling out after that week 1 kind of a underwhelming performance. What's up, Uncle Mike? What's up, Cheese Curds? Carlos was saying Gibson, Hunt, or Patterson in a full PPR. It's a good question. I'd probably go with Hunt there, but, you know, Patterson, as the weeks progress, is becoming that much easier of a play. Eduardo says, good night from Brazil. Wow. How about that, huh? Brazil, and we're watching fantasy football. I love it. That's fantastic. Football makes the world go round, guys. I can assure you that. Just so if you're wondering, I'm just running down the chat from earlier, and then of course I'll come back down. But I just wanted to look at everything here. Should I trade Calvin for Dalvin? Yeah. If Zakir, if you're going to trade Calvin Ridley for Dalvin Cook, I think you absolutely should. It's not even a question there. Spencer Stern was saying first time here. Well, welcome, Spencer. Nice to see you here. Hopefully you'll be here more often. Let's hear. Trade Zeke for Justin Jefferson. I wouldn't do that, no. You the man. Thank you, Pat. This is my worst season yet, says off the top. Sorry to hear about that. Rick says, yes, sir. I need help. All right. I'll be here to help. Rosemary says, get Renfro or Crowder. As of this current moment in time, I'd say get Renfro, mainly because we've seen just consistent work out of him in the last couple weeks, and he's scoring touchdowns. So, yeah, Renfro for sure. Time to stash MT or Wilson. Yeah, I think you should have already stashed Michael Thomas during the draft. But, yeah, I mean, if he's available, yes. And if Jeff Wilson's available, yes. Go ahead and throw them into your IR slots immediately. Awesome Noobster says Jamar Chase or Marvin Jones. Now that Chark is out, I think Marvin Jones's matchup is pretty nice this upcoming week. But I don't know if I'm ever going to play him over Jamar Chase. It would take a lot out of me to do that. Vance says you're the GOAT. Thank you very much, Vance. Dennis says, damn, dude, you're working hard. You know, the schedule's very interesting, but hey, listen, I love fantasy football, so I can't get enough of it. Ryan was saying, thoughts on D-Hop and Shepard going forward. I mean, look, DeAndre Hopkins should be a stud wide receiver going forward. There's no doubt in my mind that that's going to be the case. So I think he'll be fine. Don't worry about him. Shepard, it's a matter of whether or not he stays healthy. So we'll see that. Judd Diaz says, will A.J. Brown play this week or miss again? You know what? I have no clue. It's a hamstring. It's early in the season. I don't think they're going to force him back unless he really can play. Whoa, Andrew live on a Tuesday night. Yeah, I mean, listen, impromptu. I don't warn anybody. I just do things. Don't ask for permission. Ask for forgiveness. Either way. All right, so a couple more comments in here. All right, I'm just gonna update it to the bottom. If you had a question up there, I will hopefully have you retype it and I'll look at it. There's a couple donations that came in. Don't feel obligated to donate, guys. I'm just gonna try to answer as many of the questions I can at this moment in time. If you would like, you can potentially, instead of donating, sign up with Underdog Fantasy. If you sign up right now using promo code Andrew, with a first deposit of $10 or more, you get an additional $10 in bonus cash on Underdog. So for those of you who are interested, link is down in the description. Okay, so play-by-play sent in a Dona was saying, should I pick up Jared Cook, Evan Ingram, or Zach Ertz to start instead of Logan Thomas? Okay, so the Chargers taking on Cleveland. That's an okay game. I don't think I really want to play Evan Ingram, regardless of the fact that they play against the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys is a relatively easier matchup, but I don't think I really want to do that. And then Zach Ertz playing against who does Philly play against? I'm drawing a blank. Philly, Miles Sanders. I'm trying to remember what the video. Dude, I need to get the schedule out in front of me. This is how early it is in the week. Goodness gracious. All right, week 5. Why am I drawing a blank as to who they're playing? Must not be that interesting of a game. Carolina. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I don't want to play Zach Ertz again. I wouldn't mind. As of right now, we just go with Jared Cook. In terms of target volume, that game last night was pretty good. Rockout says, trying to flip Deontay Johnson and Corey Davis. Who do I try to get? That is a really good question. If your team is solid enough to where you can live with a wide receiver sitting on your bench that is relatively underperformed thus far this season, I'm always going to suggest trying to grab A.J. Brown. I know he's dealing with a hamstring injury, quad injury, but I'm always going to suggest A.J. Brown in these scenarios because we've seen him. I mean, we go back to last season. He missed a couple weeks, and then he came back, and he was 15 points every single game. And I know, in comparison to last year, Ryan Tannehill looks like a shell of himself, but I can expect them to potentially get back to something close to what they've been doing. Other wide receivers you can buy low. CeeDee Lamb, I'm always in for that. I'm trying to look at the other list of wide receivers that are relatively underperforming at this current moment in time that should be potentially bought up going forward. Oh, man, wide receiver is so tricky. It really is. I mean, I would want to say, goodness gracious, I'm getting a phone call over there. I'm not going to pick it up. I'd want to say Calvin Ridley, but, I mean, Cordero Patterson's that entire offense, so what are we talking about? But, yeah, if you can go get CeeDee Lamb, you should, especially for Corey Davis if they're willing to bite on that. But I doubt they will. Let's see here. Steven C says, PPR, got my first win. My team is Tannehill, CEH, Damien Harris, Carter, Murray, Adams, Ridley, Devonta, Hawkinson. I put in a claim for Darnold, Williams, and Knox. What trade should I make? I would look to probably... I mean, I don't think you can technically start. I mean, to be totally honest, if you can ensure that you're going to get Darnold, I think CEH and Damien Harris for the next couple weeks here, for the next 3-4 weeks, are in pretty good spots. So I don't really even want to move there. You just have to kind of trust your team at this point. Because, yes, you can't start Deontay and Devonta, but unless you're going to trade one of them along with a running back and make a huge upgrade, it's going to be relatively sketchy to try to move on this team. Because, I mean, your entire team is made up of back-to-back picking Adams and Ridley. And that in itself hasn't really panned out thus far. That's why it's always sketchy to go wide receiver first and second round. But in a PPR, hopefully it'll kind of figure itself out. I would say that Damien Harris is probably your weakest link in your offense. If you can go ahead and couple up, Devonta Smith or, Deontay Johnson along with Harris and ship him off for an improved running back that has PPR upside, I would try to do that. Okay. John Doe sends in a question, says, need to drop Hines plus Carter by week 9. What is the value? I'd like to package with Galladay for another player, rostering Zeke, Saquon, Murray as well. To be honest, I could care less about Nyheim Hines. Nyheim Hines can go. Keep Carter for sure. So if you want to go ahead and drop him, you probably can do it now. Peter says, hey, Andrew, good trade. I have Swift, Hawkinson, Ridley for Kupp, Rodgers, and Sanders. Swift, Hawkinson, and Ridley for Kupp, Rodgers, and Sanders. Is that like Aaron Rodgers? I'd rather have Swift, Hawkinson, and Ridley, to be totally honest, because the running back value from Swift in comparison to Emmanuel Sanders is just it's a huge chasm. It's a gap, to say the very least. Godson says, traded CEH for Mike Davis and OBJ. What do you think? I don't know about that. I had a lot of high hopes for CEH in the offseason. I hope it works out the best, but Mike Davis he's playing second fiddle to Cordero Patterson over there. All right, let me go ahead and look at this chat here. I know it's going relatively quickly, but I'm going to try to keep up as best as I can. Should I trade Chris Carson? Says IHF. To be totally honest, trade him? No. Are you that concerned about him to where you want to trade him? Sure. I mean, listen, if you can find someone in your league that's going to buy him off you and you can, recoup some of the value, then okay, you can go ahead and do that. But I'm perfectly fine holding on to him. Go get Alex Collins. I doubt people pick him up off your waiver unless, you're in a deeper league and, there's 14 teams and each team can house like 17 players. But I wouldn't be that concerned about it. Manuel Santos says, Devonta Adams for McLaurin and Hunt. Good night from Mexico. Huge fan. Thank you very much, Manuel. Devonta Adams for McLaurin Hunt. If you are really in need of a running back, I could see how this equation works for you. Because McLaurin is playing out of his mind, which he should continue to do as a top 12 wide receiver, maybe even better going forward. But as of this current moment in time, if the need for a running back is that severe, then yeah, I mean, listen, why not? I've seen trades in which people send Devonta Adams and get far less back. So yeah, I don't mind it. Let's see here. Mike Williams, AB, Moss, standard. Oh, it's a flex in a standard league. Oh man, I would say like the easiest play out of that group is most likely Zach Moss, because we're just relying on the touchdown there. But I think Mike Williams has a pretty big bounce back week, Ricardo. So I'm going to go with Mike Williams in a standard league there. I think the yardage and the touchdown will be fine there. Does Fitzpatrick have a job to come back to? Farzine, no, I don't think he does. I think Tyler Heineke's kind of proven that he's the real deal. Like, it's crazy to think that, he was going to be a backup the whole year. But hey, listen, that's why you work hard in life. That's why you continue to prepare like you are the starter. Because once opportunity comes knocking, the lucky of us, the luckiest among us are often the most prepared. That's one of the best quotes out there. So for sure, Heineke's got this on lock going forward. Steven C says, Deontay and Harris for Hunt or Edmonds. Sounds good. Deontay and Harris for Hunt or Edmonds. So it's a 2-for-1. I don't know if you need it. Okay, well, look, technically, I wouldn't do that because I think Deontay Johnson is too valuable in a full PPR in that context. I was thinking even a better upgrade. Like, let me see running backs real quick just to kind of give you some perspective as to exactly a name that I could throw out for you. Okay, let me think here. What is another guy that we could potentially buy relatively low? I mean, I don't know if anybody's selling Nick Chubb nowadays in a full PPR, but it's possible. It's very possible considering that last performance. I don't know if anybody's selling Alvin Kamara. Joe Mixon is a pretty good buy in my opinion. He doesn't catch the ball very often, but at least he's getting a boatload of touches on the ground, and he will be healthy by next week, maybe even plays this week. I don't know if the window is closed on Jonathan Taylor, but it may have. Let me see here. All right, what are the couple questions here? Hubbard or Waddle? Brandon, you know what? That's a good question. Hubbard or Waddle? Let's say it's a half PPR scoring format. I am more inclined to play Hubbard against Philly, who has been pretty bad, in terms of stopping the run in comparison to Waddle playing against Tampa Bay. I don't know how many targets he could theoretically get. I mean, how many did he even have this last week? I know he came off that nice 13 target game. And then what did he end up producing this last week? I haven't even looked at wide receivers yet. I'm going to do that right after he had 4 targets. Yeah, no, let's stick with Hubbard in that scenario. A couple people sending donos. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate that a lot. Let's see here. Vexo says Mike Davis and Mahomes or Cook or Daniel Jones. Is that Dalvin Cook? Yes. I will take Dalvin Cook and Daniel Jones over Mike Davis and Mahomes. Thank you very much. Uncle Mike says, RBs are Cook, Carson, Mitchell, Madison. Okay. Cup, Metcalf, Higgins, Golladay, Ruggs. Want to trade Metcalf and Carson for an RB1. What do you think? In a standard league? Wow, that's a very interesting question. I don't know listen, if you're going to send two prospects like that, I want top tier back, like top tier talent. But the problem is right now, a lot of these guys depend on receiving work. So like top tier talent in a standard league is a lot different than anything else that I typically look at. Let me even see, what is the landscape of a standard running back right now? Eckler is still number 2, but it's a steep slope. Like if you can send both those players and get yourself, I don't even know at this point. I want more than just, like, honestly, I want Zeke for that. That's what I want. I don't think you'll get it, but that's what I want, more or less. I want top tier talent for that kind of give. So if you can't get that, then I'm okay to settle for like a Chubb, but I think you're giving too much for one singular running back unless you're getting a studs in return, like omega studs. Joe Cohen says, have Zeke, Barkley, Patterson, Mixon, Carson, but my wide receivers are CD, Sterling, Shepard. Should I deal one of my running backs for a wide receiver upgrade? Yeah, I would deal Patterson immediately. I don't think it lasts very long in terms of his overall upside, but when I say immediately, you have to wait a week because Mixon and Carson are most likely not going to maybe play this week. I think Carson will be fine on Thursday. The reason he didn't practice today is because, again, they just played on Sunday, so I don't think they were going to practice him anyway. I think he'll probably go the whole week without practicing and end up being active regardless. But for now, Joe, I think you have to wait until this week kind of concludes unless you're willing to just roll it out there and figure it out. And, if you have to, play Samaje Perine and Alex Collins. Just Relax says, trade my Chubb and Knox for Kittle and Hunt. No. I know Hunt has been great, but I don't think I'm doing that. Hunt is eventually going to stop stealing touchdowns. Hopefully, right? That's the expectation, is that he stops. Kittle right now, he's not scoring touchdowns. The change of quarterback may not be the greatest thing for him. So we just got to kind of play it by ear. But yeah, I hold Chubb to a pretty high standard. Just to kind of give you some perspective there. W&J Sports Addicts says, Ryan Tannehill, Jeff Wilson, Claypool, Singletary, Donald, Robbie Anderson. This is a trade. Okay. Darnold, sorry. You put Donald anyway. Okay. Wow, that's a... yeah, I'll take the Darnold side. I don't mind that. Fudgy says, Hubbard or Patterson, who starts in a flex full PPR? In a full PPR, I play Patterson. Yeah. Love from Australia. Thank you very much. I play Patterson there. Let's see here. Islam over everything says, trade Edmonds and Jamal Williams for Patterson and Hines. That's a good question. Edmonds and Jamal Williams for Patterson and Hines. Nah, I think I'm keeping Edmonds and Jamal Williams. Patterson is going to disappear eventually. The hope is that he disappears. Like, he looks like he's Julio Jones rebuilt for that offense, right? Catching 3 touchdowns in one game. It's going to eventually, slow down. Edmonds and Jamal Williams have so much more upside rest of the season, man. Let's see here. Squilliam says, Tony Pollard or Hunter Renfrow at the flex. At this moment, we're going to go Hunter Renfrow. Also, Knox and Pitts at tight end. We have to play Knox until otherwise noted that Pitts is going to step up this year. Isaac Flo says Latavius Murray and Devontae or Javonte Williams and Antonio Brown. So Devonta Smith versus Antonio Brown and then Javonte Williams versus Latavius Murray. I feel like Javonte Williams is a bit trapped. It's going to take an injury to Melvin Gordon to unfortunately kind of get that unlodged. But for now, I would say that you're probably better off keeping the Murray side. Look, the problem that I have with Murray is that he'll never catch the ball. So if you're expecting anything more than 10 points, you are gravely mistaken. So that is the thing. I think if you're looking for just potential upside, the Javonte Williams, Antonio Brown side has more upside. So I would say, like, in a vacuum, we would take that. I don't know what your teams look like, but yeah, I would probably take the Javonte Williams, Antonio Brown side because it has the greater upside of the two. Steve Alvarez says bench Metcalf, injury, Ramsey, play AB. No, I'm playing Metcalf. You can play AB. Don't worry about it. But the last time I saw Metcalf versus Ramsey, playoffs, Metcalf scored 2 touchdowns, no problem. Zifty says, or Zfitty, Zfitty Z says, I've been keeping Allen Robinson enough, even though he's underwhelming. Do I trade him now? Can you trade him now? That's the question. The high expectations was set by the fact that regardless of who's been at quarterback, he's been fine. But the fact of the matter is that it actually matters who the quarterback is, and we can't have a rookie that's just not able to get it done there in that scenario. So if you can trade him, you can. But I mean, I don't think you're going to get much back, so you might as well hold him and let's just see what happens. Peterson's in the question: Ridley, Hawkinson, Moss for Metcalf and Rodgers. I mean, do we really need Rodgers that bad? I mean, if you're struggling at quarterback, I could see the conversation, but otherwise, I'm keeping Ridley and Hawkinson and Moss in a vacuum there. Kareem says 10-team full PPR: Tyreek Hill, Diggs, DJ Moore, Lockett, Pittman, Waddle, Claypool. Okay, we got some. Okay, interesting. Tyreek Hill, Diggs, DJ Moore, Lockett, Pittman, Waddle, Claypool. I mean, that is a stacked receiver bunch. Swift, Davis, Sermon, Gainwell, Pollard. Trade for RB upgrades. Yeah, you should. As to who you're trading, Lockett, Pittman, Waddle, Claypool. Get rid of all of them. I'm keeping DJ Moore, I'm keeping Tyreek Hill, and I'm keeping Diggs until the end of the season. Clear out the rest of your wide receivers and go get the best you possibly can at running back. For those of you who are sitting pretty at 4-0, consider maybe going for David Montgomery in a trade. I don't know what he's going to look like going forward, but yeah, I think if he comes back in 5 weeks, maybe earlier, he should be a good option. Billy was saying Tyler Lockett, question mark. Yeah, I out of those receiving options, I would 100% trade Tyler Lockett before I trade Tyreek Hill, DJ Moore, or Stephon Diggs. Yeah, that's in a full PPR. I would rather trade Lockett. It's just a lot of inconsistency there. 2 games on, 2 games off. We're going to probably get a good game on Thursday, and then the next week he's going to be off, right? So that's the only concern. All right, let me see what's going on in the chat. Eckler or Kamara? Eckler. I mean, we hoped that Kamara would, figure it out, but for now, I mean, it's Eckler. Give Patterson, AB, and Kirk for Ridley? No. Like, I would love for Ridley to be full Ridley, but he's not. So at this point, you're giving up too much depth. I wouldn't give 2 of those. If you're going to give like AB and Kirk and get them, then sure. But yeah, I wouldn't give all 3 of those guys. I think you can get better receivers for that right now. Did I miss Alex Collins news? No, I mean, you didn't miss anything. A lot of people are just worried that Chris Carson may be missing this upcoming week's game because he quote unquote didn't practice today. But like, it's Tuesday. They have a Thursday game. Nobody really practices on a Tuesday. They only like give like a designation. Like, he'll be fine. If he doesn't play, then after waivers run tonight, you should be picking up Alex Collins. I did mention him in my waiver wire video, but it was in the timestamps underneath honorable mentions right after the running back section. So if you want to check that out, you can. I mean, he looked good. Let's see here. Rick says full PPR, flex Renfro, Damien Harris, Claypool. In a full PPR at this current moment in time, I'm probably flexing Renfro because he just has so much innate value. But I'm close to starting Harris in that scenario. But for now, yeah, it's Renfro, Harris, then Claypool. Claypool's still dealing with an injury, and Ben Roethlisberger cannot throw the ball because he's dealing with hip injury, pec injury, offensive line's trash. It's not good. Let's see here. Jay Campbell was saying Herbert or Hurts rest of season. Herbert. Thank you very much. Kodak Black says, what would a full healthy Mixon be ranked this week? That's a great question. Playing against Green Bay, most likely sits at like RB. I mean, he's probably going to touch the ball like 20 times. RB 14, most likely. But that's just off the top of my head. But yeah, RB 14 seems like a pretty good spot for him. Let's see here. Should I trade Patterson for Hopkins? Yes, please now. Listen, phenomenal, John. Please do it now. Hurry. Before they change their mind, hurry. Let's see here. Cozy Solo sends in a donation. Thank you very much. Full PPR. For my flex, should I start? Who should I start? And who is the highest upside amongst Jamar Chase, Corey Davis, and Renfro? All right. Who has the highest upside? Okay. Jamar Chase versus Green Bay isn't the easiest matchup, but again, he's played tough matchups already this season and been perfectly fine. Corey Davis has a really good matchup, and it's tough there. And then Renfrow on the other. I mean, okay, you got a pretty tough choice, to say the very least. I want to play Jamar Chase, but I think Corey Davis might be the play. And then Renfrow is just, I don't know. Renfrow is doing everything. Did you guys see that tackle that he made on the punt return, the fake punt? My goodness, he's so damn good. But yeah, I think for now, I would say Jamar Chase is probably the guy that I want to play, but I might change my mind to Corey Davis as the week progresses. Javier G says, should I accept A.J. Brown and Sermon for Mixon and Ayuk? No. I'd rather have Mixon the rest of the season than A.J. Brown. Or Thielen/Gaskin for Mixon and Ayuk? No. I'm keeping Mixon in these scenarios. Unless I got 100% confirmation that Sermon is going to be the starter for that team rest of the season, and Jeff Wilson doesn't exist, JaMychal Hasty doesn't exist, Elijah Mitchell doesn't exist. If I can get confirmation there, then sure, I'd be willing to make the first trade that you mentioned, Javier. But in all honesty, I think Mixon and Ayuk is irrelevant to me. It's just the commodity of Mixon that I'm trusting rest of the season based on the amount of touches he's gotten. I think he's number 3 in terms of total rushing yards amongst all running backs in the NFL right now, only behind Henry and Chubb. So he's got a good spot. Touchdowns are on the way soon. Martinez says, trade Deebo Samuel for Tyler Lockett. Ooh, that's a good question. They kind of remind me of being the same kind of player. I think they're both going to be wide receiver 2s the rest of the season. I guess it's just a matter of which quarterback do you trust the most, and whether or not you think Trey Lance is going to be the quarterback rest of the season. For now, I would probably say you have a higher likelihood of trusting Lockett because of Russell Wilson as the starting quarterback, rather than whatever ends up happening with Trey Lance week 7 bye week. Maybe Jimmy G returns after that. I mean, with Jimmy G, Deebo hasn't been terrible. He's had one good game and then a couple average performances. But yeah, I think in terms of safety, I'd probably just go with Lockett there. Devin says, better waiver wire pick, Corey Davis or Damien Williams? It depends what you need. Do you need running back? If you do, then yeah, you take Damien Williams. Otherwise, if you're just looking for a wide receiver play, sure, you can go for Corey Davis and kind of solidify yourself there. If neither are starting, I personally would go and pick up Damien Williams and try to trade him, because people are always rabid and hungry to try to get a running back off of waivers, and if they can't do it, then maybe they'll trade for it. Brandon sends in a question, pick 3. Okay, we have Dalvin Cook, Edmonds, Hunt, Swift, Gibson, Patterson, 10-team standard league. Cook's playing, Hunt's playing, Swift's playing. Sending it. Thank you. Dustin says, trade AB for A.J. Brown. Yes, I would. I have Woods and Allen Robinson. If you are listen, I'm doing it anyway. I'm doing that anyway. I would trade AB for A.J. Brown. Thank you. All right, let me see here. I'm looking at the chat, guys. I'm looking at the chat. All right, so here it is. All right, Josh T says, trade away Najee Harris and get back Dalvin Cook. I would do so. And you have Madison? Yes, do it. IHF says, what should my RB start be this week? Chubb, Carson, Patterson, Moss, Henderson? I would say watch the video, but in quick summation, Chubb and Henderson are your best players there. Andre says, should I trade Carson and Deontay for Kamara? Yes. I would definitely do that. 100%. It was just like immediately I would click yes. Pablo says, DK or Cordero start at the flex. I play DK Metcalf there. I mean, look, Cordero Patterson is slowly getting himself to a point where I have to start him. What is it? 5 catches each of the last 3 weeks, 58 receiving yards minimum. So he's going to get himself probably, 10, 12, 13 points easily because of the rushing statistic on top of, the receiving work. They play the Jets this week. He's got touchdown upside. So Cordero Patterson is a safe 13 to 19 point play. That is everything we could ask for from a regular wide receiver like DK Metcalf. And Cordero Patterson, of all players, is doing it, and you can start him at running back. With this said, I can't find myself starting him over DK Metcalf. I just can't. I appreciate it, though. If you want to, listen, I've laid it out there. There's a logic to do it, but I don't know if I can find myself to do that. Arjun says, should I drop Ayuk? I mean, listen, if there are better options like, Renfro's or Crowder's or Chenault's or Mooney's, I don't mind going for that. Yeah, let's move them. Let's hear. Emmett was saying, should I try to sell Monty David Montgomery specifically. Now, in this case, something worse comes up with his injury. I mean, listen, if you want to, you can. It's a matter of what you can get in return. If you're not going to get much in return, in reality, this is my thought process. If you're currently sitting at an even or negative record and you think that you're going to lose in the next couple of weeks and you need to get value back for David Montgomery to even make your fantasy playoffs because you need a string of wins here, then I don't think it's a bad idea to go ahead, risk it a little bit, trade him, get some value back, and then at least have a solidified lineup. Because again, week 6, here comes the bye weeks. Week 7, I mean, there's like 6 teams on bye and a lot of good ones at that. So you're going to need to, of course, be able to manage that. So yeah, if you need to, I don't mind it. Roberto says, full PPR, my Ayuk, Lance Sutton for Julio Jones and Singletary. I have Josh Allen, Tyreek Hill, Deontay Johnson, Eckler, and Jamal Williams as my RB2. So you would be getting Singletary as your RB2 technically in exchange for Ayuk, Sutton, and Lance. I don't mind it. I mean, you have Josh Allen. Lance doesn't really mean anything to you. He probably ends up losing the job back to Jimmy Garoppolo once he's healthy, unless maybe, Trey Lance is the next coming. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But with that even being said, no, I'm okay with that. Because I look at it just straight up as like a Julio versus Sutton. If Julio's healthy, I think, he's on the very equal level. And in between Singletary and Ayuk, it's purely just Singletary. But I wouldn't really look at this trade, Roberto, and think to myself, I won, because Singletary as your RB2 isn't, we're not celebrating for that, right? We want something better. I'd rather trade all 3 of those players for one running back like Damien Harris or Josh Jacobs right now, right? That's what you should be looking after. Cozy Solo says, should we be worried about Mike Williams? Or the last game was just an unlucky scenario? My assumption is that Mike Williams and Cooper Kupp, both of these guys who were on the top of the world, are coming right back down. They will probably land amongst the wide receiver 2 category, maybe low end wide receiver 1 category, because they have touchdown upside and they're getting the red zone targets. But for now, I would say you shouldn't be worried. You're still going to have a top 15 to 17 overall wide receiver on your hands, okay? So don't be worried. Dark says, trade Hurts and Boyd for Michael Thomas. I have Brady. I mean, Michael Thomas, if you're willing to make the gamble, sure, but I feel like you can go get an automatic proven commodity right now. Like, if you want to go get him, sure, but like, Jameis Winston doesn't even throw the ball for over 200 yards. He doesn't. Now, if Michael Thomas is there, maybe it changes the entire script, but yeah, for now, I don't know about that. I'd feel more confident probably just getting a solidified wide receiver that I could start immediately. But if you want to take the gamble and your team is set at a position where you're in a smaller league, like 8 to 10 teams, you already have a stacked roster, and giving away Hurts and Boyd don't really hurt you at all, even with bye weeks to come, then sure, go for it. Brandon says 10-team league, standard flex spot. Antonio Gibson, Kareem Hunt, and or Keenan Allen. I'd play Kareem Hunt against the Los Angeles Chargers. Miles Diaz says, I have Keenan Allen, Allen Robinson, Debo, Deontay, Marquise Brown, Golladay, and Michael Thomas. I really need a running back. Chubb and Aaron Jones have the same bye week. Who to keep or trade? I mean, at this point, who are we keeping and or trading? We're keeping Keenan Allen. I want to keep Deontay Johnson. As for trading, I mean, if you have to move Debo Samuel or Marquise Brown, specifically Marquise Brown, if you can move him and recoup some value at running back, don't mind if I do. Yeah. I just want to get rid of the guys that are super touchdown reliant. Like, Marquise Brown does have the potential of doing that every week, but based on his career thus far, he's very inconsistent in these kind of games in which sometimes he's 13 points or he's 6. He's 19 points or he's 3. So that's why I'm trying to kind of lean away from that kind of a player. All right, let me look at this chat here. Mooney or AJ Green off waivers? Depends on your scoring format. I feel like you're more likely to find success in standard half PPR with AJ Green rather than Mooney, because Mooney's not going to have 125 receiving yards every game. It's relatively unlikely. So if you're playing in a league in which PPR isn't as reliant, then you probably go Green there and find more success. Mooney in a full PPR though. Would you pick up Gronk and stash him? Yeah, of course I would. when you only have 5 spots and McCaffrey is sitting there already. I mean, look, if Gronk is available in your league, he's already proven based on, of course, his target volume that he's a good option. So yeah, I would pick him up. Schultz or Andrews in week 5, rest of season. I mean, that is really hard to predict at this point. But I'm gonna say I'm going with Mark Andrews rest of season. Week 5, most likely. I mean, look, Mark Andrews has to eventually score a touchdown. But if Dalton Schultz is keeping on this pace, then we have to probably eventually change our minds. I think I mentioned it either earlier today or on my waiver wire video. For as stubborn as I will be for some of these players, eventually I'll break. Like eventually, if Mark Andrews isn't panning out, I'm gonna break, and I'm just gonna all right. We're on the Schultz bandwagon now because it is the reality of the season. You can only go so long until you realize, all right, well, there are things changing, and regardless of what we think, they're going to stay permanent. So, yeah, it's tough. But for this week, we'll know that by Thursday. I'll go ahead and post my video. But yeah, I don't know for sure. I still got to do a lot of my stats and grinding, and I still got to watch film for those tight ends. What's a good sale high? What is this? YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Did my internet go out? Like, what the heck does that mean? My KBS is fine. That's weird. What was that question someone sent in? What's a good sell high for Cordero Patterson? To be honest, Brendan, the way that I've found Cordero Patterson to be sold in relation to other leagues is very different. Cordero Patterson is only worth what someone is willing to buy him for. And what I say or mean by that is, yes, I would want to go get a great running back. Maybe go give me a Josh Jacobs, please. Let me go buy low on him as much as I possibly can. But if your league is experienced and they know, hey, listen, Cordero Patterson is not going to last long. He's a joke. I'm not going to waste my time trading for him like my leagues are. Then, you're in a tougher spot. A couple people sending some donations. Isaac says, was offered Patterson and Myers for Adams and Robbie. No, you're keeping Adams and Robbie. What are you talking about? Sorry, not Robbie. Okay, it says robbery. Dude, I thought it said Robbie. Oh my God. Was offered Patterson and Myers for Adams. Yeah, I would keep Adams. 100% Adams. What are we doing? Alexander Raw says PPR Superflex 10 team. I have Garoppolo, Lance, Darnold. Okay, cool. Cook, CMC, Hubbard, Zach Moss. Okay, cool. Mike Williams, Ridley, AB, Gesicki at the tight end. And my waivers are Mac Jones, Damien Williams, Zach Wilson, Leonard Fournette, Boyd, Schultz, or Knox. I mean, Leonard Fournette, Damien. I want them all. I mean, if you're saying which of the group, is my internet dipping right now? Oh, I am lagging. Okay, my internet is dipping out. I was about to say, I was like, my internet's a little. This is why I don't stream often, guys. My internet over here. Listen, I'd love it to be perfect, but it just doesn't want to work like that sometimes. Anyway, so in terms of your team, you have stacked running backs. You don't technically need one, but I would get Leonard Fournette if you could. 100%. You play in a super flex league, 10 teams, so you don't need Mac Jones or Zach Wilson. But yeah, get Leonard Fournette. And then if you want to go ahead and replace Gesicki, do it with Schultz. Or even Knox. I don't care, either one. Because eventually, Tua is going to come back. Nutmeg says, I have Eckler, Thielen, Cook. I have Eckler, Thielen, Cook trade, ? Due to week 7 bye? I'm not understanding the question. I have Eckler, Thielen, Cook. Trade ? So they all have a week 7. Oh, they all. No, you're not trading them. No. Guys, if all of your players, all of them, have the same bye week, you're not trading. You're not. Absolutely not. Okay. Let's see here. Dark says, which wide receiver would you target for Hurts and Boyd? Again, players are only worth what people are willing to pay for them. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for A.J. Brown, legitimately. I'm going to keep saying it. I want A.J. Brown rest of the season. If someone wants to sell low on CeeDee Lamb, by all means, give it to me. Like those are free cookies at this point. So if they want to sell low, we'll take those. Even DeAndre Hopkins. If someone's like crazy enough to give that to you, let's do it. Everyone drop a like for Andrew. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yes, if you guys all could, please click the like button. Really quickly, let's see here. Derek just said, I'm 1-3 full PPR, 10 team. I traded AJ Brown for Amari Cooper. Am I really gonna lag this bad? Damn, dude. I hate that. Okay, whatever. Just traded AJ Brown for Amari Cooper. I will have Cooper, Hopkins, Beasley, Waddle, and Shepard if it goes through. 1 out of 4 vetoes so far. I don't understand why there would even be a veto in this scenario. It doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense. Nobody should ever be vetoing trades unless it's absolute collusion. All right, I'm getting back into this chat. Purge says, Marquise Brown, Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones in the flex. Marquise Brown. Brandon Cooks or Robert Woods moving forward. If Tyrod Taylor comes back, I'll take Brandon Cooks. I'm not even kidding. It's 2021. I'm just going to keep moving on with the times. Is it worth to go for Connor? I don't mind going for James Conner. If you need the running back help, why not? Look, he's got to score touchdowns, but he scored 4 in the last 2 weeks, man. It's insane. Let's see here. Is it worth... Okay, let's see. Trade Gibson for Ridley. Standard league. My wide receivers are Cooks and Robinson. Yeah, if you have running back depth and you don't need Gibson, which it would be hard to imagine you don't need him, then maybe you can go for Ridley. But that's tough. I feel like if all the receivers you're gonna go for Ridley, I don't know, man. I feel like I'd wait on that. Try to pick somebody off of waivers instead of using Robinson, please. Let's see here. Should I start Robert Woods, Keenan Allen, or Jamar Chase? Well, tomorrow I have a wide receiver video for that exact reason. So we'll figure that out tomorrow, right? I'd like to please answer. Thank you very much, Z. Z, let's see what your question was. Le'Veon Bell back down to practice squad. Do you think Tyson will come back up and him and Latavius Murray will cut into each other's fantasy worth? I don't know. That's a great question. To be totally honest, we'll have to wait and see. If Tyson Williams is going to be another active player and, see zero snaps, then it's going to be tough. But for now, it seems like they just want to let Latavius Murray run the show. And until otherwise noted, I'm just going to believe that Latavius Murray's the lead guy there. What is Allen Robinson's trade value? Very little. I don't even know what you could trade him for, in all honesty. Like the leagues that I play in the teams that I have Allen Robinson on, I cannot sell him. I can't. I would have to be forced to trade him because people know there's no reason to buy him. And if he's sitting on my bench just collecting dust, it does more damage to me, right? So there's no point in people going after him in that, kind of capacity. Welcome to Paradise says DJ Moore for Clyde Edwards and AJ Brown. Ooh, my goodness. DJ Moore looks like he could very easily finish as a top 7 wide receiver. And that in itself makes me think, man, do I really want to trade him away in this capacity, the way he's playing? Let's put it this way. Welcome to Paradise. Let's see if AJ Brown practices tomorrow. If he does, I'm more inclined to say yes, because getting 2 players, and especially getting a running back at that value, it's not a bad choice there. Ryan Boyle says, should I trade James Robinson, Deontay Johnson, and Trey Sermon for Christian McCaffrey? If you have enough depth to where trading Deontay Johnson and 2 running backs isn't a big deal, then sure. I don't know the context as to the rest of your team, who else you have, your scoring format, but if you're in a position where you're like, hey, you know what? I'll trade these 3 players and I'm still going to have Zeke, DJ Moore, McLaurin, Hawkinson, and Christian McCaffrey now, and my quarterback is Kyler Murray. Like, if that's the kind of team we're talking about, then yeah, we can just roll with it there because you just have an unstoppable team at that point. But otherwise, no. It would be tough for me to trade away so much depth. But it just depends. There's a lot of scenarios here. Knox or Schultz rest of season? I'm thinking Schultz. Now, if Knox is going to score touchdowns every week, sure, that's very enticing. But I don't think that's going to be the case. There's so many weapons in this offense. Eventually, we're going to get to a point where, I want to think that Stephon Diggs is going to start scoring touchdowns. But the way that this offense has looked, Zach Moss has scored 4 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. Dalton Schultz has scored 4 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. And it doesn't look like they're forcing it. Like, it's just naturally coming to. So, like, Knox is going to maybe become, the low-key, tight end of the year. The guy that ends up being a top 7, top 8 guy. Maybe even higher because of touchdown upside in respect to his quarterback. So I'm hoping they both pan out, but I'm thinking Schultz because of the amount of usage they have for tight ends. In terms of like total snaps, the tight end position for the Cowboys is on the field more often. Whether it's 11 or 12 personnel doesn't matter. So I'm thinking Schultz for now. Which tight end should I start, Andrew? Let's see here. Andrews, Knox, or Schultz? Again, that's a Wednesday question. I'm not sure at this moment. I've got a lot of stuff to take care of this week as we progress. So Julio is lower than Allen Robinson, in my opinion. Thom B, I mean, listen, if he is, he is. Oh, man, I don't know what to tell you. DJ Chark, Jerry Jeudy, and Jarvis Landry are all in my IR. I keep all 3 or drop 1. I mean, if they're in your injured reserve, then what's the point of dropping them? Isn't DJ Chark out for the season, though? That's what maybe I'm mistaken. Is Najee Harris for Saquon and DK Metcalf good? Yes, automatically. If you have Najee Harris and someone is offering you Saquon Barkley and DK Metcalf, auto accept. Thank you. I actually prefer Saquon rest of the season over Najee Harris, which may be crazy, but Saquon just looks so damn good. Maybe I'm just getting a little over, I'm getting too excited about it. I don't know. Taya Sale says, I'm starting Edmonds and Beasley in my flex. But I have more Evans and DK Metcalf for my wide receivers. Who do I play? DJ Moore, Mike Evans, and DK Metcalf for your wide receivers. Who do you play? DJ Moore's an automatic play this week against Philadelphia. As for Metcalf versus Evans, I'd probably go Metcalf there. Thank you. And then, respectively, I'm going to play Evans over Moore in your flex. Steve, 2472-9 says, huge blockbuster trade in our league. Cooper Kupp and Austin Eckler for CeeDee Lamb and Najee Harris. W or L? Austin Eckler, Najee Harris. Okay, CeeDee Lamb. I think it's relatively even. To be honest, I'm thinking that the Austin Eckler Cooper Kupp side is probably better long term, but it is pretty close to being even. If CeeDee Lamb wants to show up in the next 2 weeks, please. Come on, CeeDee Lamb, help us. Gabriel says, tanking the first 3 weeks next year, smart or not? What? Why would you tank the first 3 weeks next year? It doesn't make sense, Gabriel. Are you playing? Wait, I don't understand. That's so weird. More context would be appreciated. But either way, thank you for the donation. World says, value for Swift, JT, and Clyde's rest of season. Keeper League and the value for each of them respectively, I think Jonathan Taylor has the highest upside amongst all those running backs in terms of careers. And then I would say Swift is second and then Clyde is third. Okay, let's see here. Shawshank says, thoughts on Devonta Smith rest of season? I mean, look, it is purely dependent on whether or not Jalen Hurts can just let it rip. His offensive line's in a little bit of a state of disarray, but I think going forward, they're going to get healthy and they'll be in a good spot. But I mean, Devonta Smith has been relatively inconsistent, but that's rookie wide receiver play for you. We're not going to get Justin Jeffersons and Jamar Chases every year. Yes, that is implying that Jamar Chase will be the Justin Jefferson of this year, yes. Do you have faith in Julio? I have faith in Julio when he is healthy, active, and on the field. In any other scenario, cousin, I am not. But do I have faith in him returning? Absolutely. Shepard or Boyd rest of season? I prefer Boyd, to be honest. Shepard looked nice, but I think Kadarius Toney could be ending up getting a little bit more work as we progress. And, of course, Saquon being more of an active receiving option kind of takes away the short yardage work of a Shepard in the slot position. What do we have here? Edmonds or Deontay Johnson, PPR rest of season? I mean, it depends what you need. Like, if I'm just saying, hey, who's scoring more points rest of season? I'm more or less, I'm going to pick Deontay Johnson. Like, he's going to score more points rest of season. But if you're saying just like heads up, who am I trading for? It depends what your team respectively needs. Lost David Montgomery for 4 to 5 weeks. I have number one waiver priority going for Damien Williams. Good. But I need to drop one player. Who would you choose? Damian Harris, Myles Gaskin, Kenny Golladay, Chuba Hubbard, or Marvin Jones Jr.? I would drop Myles Gaskin there, Daniel. Time to sell Cook, like as in Dalvin Cook? Absolutely not. It's time to buy Dalvin Cook, guys. Buy low immediately. Omar sends in a donation. Thank you very much. Says trade Kelsey for Logan Thomas and Kamara. Yes. I don't really think Logan Thomas really matters. It's purely just Kelsey versus Kamara. I would take Kamara. Julian says, how much value does Patterson carry? It depends. Would you keep, bundle, or trade? I have Henry, CEH, Tyreek, Lockett, Amari Cooper, AJ Brown, Julio Patterson. Yeah, you have to trade him, man. I mean, like, can you get anything out of him? Your team is so stacked that for sure you're playing in a 10-team league. I mean, for sure, right? So everyone's stacked in this league. Now, if somebody really wants Patterson because they saw 32 points, then, I mean, by all means, go out and try to trade him. Now, I don't think you mentioned a tight end here. So you have Henry, yeah. So I would try to see if you can go get a tight end for him. AG says, use my number one waiver on Schultz over Damien Williams, yay or nay? I'm going to say nay, unless you're really desperate for tight end. Because I feel like you can get Damien Williams and flip him in a trade for probably more value. And then maybe use your second prio, not on Schultz, but on like Knox. But, I mean, listen, if you're desperate for tight end and you're like, I've had Kyle Pitts kill me for 7 weeks in a row, I'm done with this, then okay, I mean, listen, it just depends on what your team relatively needs in this scenario. But again, it is really tough for me to like use, I don't want you to use your number one waiver unless you're going to use that player. There's no reason to pick up Damien Williams unless he's going to be an active player on your team or unless you're trading him, right? He needs to give you some sort of value. Otherwise, you wasted your number one waiver priority. Gabriel says, tanking to possibly pick up league winner in waivers. Okay, Gabriel, your league has a setting where the number one waiver priority is based on record. So basically, the last person in your league has the number one waiver. That's what you basically explained to me. Tell your commissioner to abort that at all costs next season, please. Make it a fab league, and at very least, make it a league in which you have waivers on a continual rolling list. So if someone picks, they go to the bottom of the line, or they go to the back of the line, and then we continue to roll through it. But yeah, I would say tanking for number one waiver priority is not a smart idea because that entire setting should just be abolished. Brian Mills says half PPR. I was offered Jalen Hurts and Melvin Gordon for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I have Javonte Williams. Okay. Is this trade fair? I was offered Jalen Hurts and Melvin Gordon for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I have Javonte Williams. To be honest, if you don't need the quarterback, I don't want anything to do with it. Melvin Gordon is splitting carries. Javonte Williams is eventually going to win the job because Melvin Gordon's going to go down with an injury. So I'm going to go with Clyde in this scenario. Unless you are, I mean, no, even if you're desperate for a quarterback, I mean, like, Hurts is not going to present that much to you. And you have the right side of the trade in terms of you want to have Javonte Williams in this backfield because the future of it is far brighter than what the current nature of it is with Melvin Gordon. Taryn says 12-team full PPR. QB Russell Wilson, wide receiver Julio, Sutton, Renfro, running backs Henry, Barkley, Knox is my tight end. Flex is James Robinson. I have Patrick Robbie Anderson, DJ Chark, Madison, Robert Tonyan, Carter. What to keep or trade? Okay, that's a great question. What to keep? Derrick Henry and Barkley, 100%. James Robinson, I would be willing to trade him if you can get a top-tier wide receiver. So what do I mean by that? If someone wants to give you Justin Jefferson, if they want to give you James Robinson for maybe, do I want to give him for, I don't mind going after DeAndre Hopkins for him. Yeah, if someone wants to give you some of those players, I don't mind it. Now, as for your bench is, it's not good. Robbie Anderson doesn't do anything. DJ Chark's hurt. Tim Patrick is 30 yards and hopefully a touchdown. Michael Carter, maybe in the future. Madison is a handcuff, not even for your team. And Robert Tonyan doesn't score. So your best option is to move James Robinson because that is the most valuable piece that you can theoretically move at this moment. But yeah, that's the extent of it. Langy says, do you trust Gibson, Williams, and D-Hop for the rest of the season? Gibson, Williams, and D-Hop? Do I trust them? I mean, DeAndre Hopkins has been a top 5 wide receiver for the last 4 or 5 consecutive years. I trust him. Gibson has proven in the past and already this year that with ample opportunity, he will play well. The touchdowns, obviously, pretty much carried him all of last season, scoring 11 touchdowns in the amount of games that he played as a starting running back. Definitely did help his overall value, and we're seeing a little bit of a lesser extent of that this year. I still trust him as an RB2 option, low end RB1, and then Williams. I don't know which Williams that is, but I'm assuming this is Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams is a bench guy. Can I trust him? I mean, as a starter, you can't trust him. No. Let's hear. Andrew Pacina says, should I prioritize the Patriots defense, Jamison Crowder, or Sam Darnold on waivers? I have Josh Allen as my quarterback and the Cowboys defense. My wide receivers are DK Ridley Cooks, Emmanuel Sanders Galladay. Also, should I trade Patterson? Okay, so in terms of your question overall, it's a matter of you don't need the wide receiver. In all honesty, you don't. You've got really good wide receiver depth. Do you need the defense? Maybe for this week and in 2 weeks when they play against Houston this week and the Jets in 2 weeks. Do you need Darnold? No, you don't need Darnold. But if you want to pick him up when Josh Allen goes on bye week in week 7, then yes, that's probably your best option overall. Bradley says in the question, Thielen and Clyde for Barkley and Allen Robinson. Oh, man. I want to say yes because I think Barkley is that guy. I really do. But Allen Robinson scares the crap out of me, guys. He really does. In all honesty, it is a slippery slope. And if Allen Robinson doesn't figure it out anytime soon, that trade's going to hurt a little bit. But I think I just roll it and I just say yes. Trade Cook for Aaron Jones. Why are we trading Dalvin Cook? What happened? Am I missing something, guys? Ray says, trade Allen Robinson for A.J. Brown. Was that good? Yes, that is very good, Ray. Well done. Well done. Winston says, Dawson Knox or Dalton Schultz. I prefer Dalton Schultz. If you want to pick up Knox, by all means, go for it. I think they're both great upside guys. If you can, get them both. Probably unlikely, but I think Dalton Schultz is probably the way to go there. McKissick for flex rest of season? Unlikely, Grant. Chill Will says, Gesicki or Schultz on the wire? I'd go with Schultz because Tua will return and Gesicki's value will go plummeting. Hunt or Edmonds full PPR? Is that for this week? If that's this week, I'm going to go with Edmonds. If that's rest of season, I might even go Edmonds in that case as well. Bob says Jared Cook as a starting tight end rest of season. I doubt it. He's always going to have inconsistencies because that's just Jared Cook. He's been like that since he got to New Orleans a couple years back. He's an extremely inconsistent tight end, but when he hits, he hits. I'll tell you that much. Andrew Pacina says, would you trade Patterson for Cooper? Yes, I would. I would trade him for Amari Cooper, most definitely. Going into the chat, Sideline Star says, can I trade Kyler and Darrell Henderson for Christian McCaffrey? I have Jalen Hurts on my bench. I'd feel more comfortable trading Jalen Hurts and Henderson for McCaffrey, but I don't mind it. Lockett for Saquon? Yes, please, Chris. Chris, I'm not even kidding. If someone is even remotely interested in that, get Saquon for Lockett. Trade Devontae Adams for Zeke? Yeah, I would. I think Zeke looks great. This offense is unstoppable at this point. How much fab do you use for Latavius Murray? All right, so Joseph, that is a great question. I'm glad you kind of brought that up. So for those of you guys who are thinking about putting in waivers tonight, just to put it into perspective, I don't know what your league mates do. Some of you guys play with psychopaths. Now, what I mean by that is, okay, so I've talked to someone earlier today, and I asked them, hey, how much fab did people in your league spend for Hubbard, and how much did they spend for Elijah Mitchell? I want to get a context as to what exactly your league values players of that nature at. He said 104 for Mitchell and 102 out of 200 for Hubbard. Okay, so that means Damien Williams is probably going to go in that league for 50, 60. You have to kind of play it by there because I can't just like randomly say, hey, I would value him at, 10% of my overall fab, when the rest of your league is going to value him at 30, you're going to miss out on him, and then it's going to hurt you in the long run, right? So there's a lot of variables that need to be taken into account in those circumstances. Let's see here. J-Man 21 says, trade Gronk and Gibson for Keenan Allen. If you don't need the running back and you're just if you're just dumping Gronk because you already have a tight end and you don't need the running back, maybe in a full PPR, but only in a full PPR. But you have to not need a running back. Like, Gibson is really valuable regardless of what scoring format you're in. So I don't know, man. Depends if, what the rest of your team looks like. In a nutshell, not in a nutshell, I don't know. In a vacuum, in a full PPR, it would lean in the direction of Gibson. That's why I'm thinking, like, the only reason why you would ever trade Gibson in this scenario is if you probably have other running backs that would suffice and fill in just properly and get the job done, and that's why you need Keenan Allen. So I'm okay with that if you really need wide receiver. All right, really quickly. What time is it? 9:40. We've been at this for like an hour. All right, cool. So we're on the same page. I'm going to be here for a little bit more. Underdog Fantasy. If you guys haven't checked them out, link down in the description. Literally, just, to be totally honest, since I've been playing on Underdog Fantasy, and I'm not even like trying to make this as a sales pitch, like, the games have been more exciting to watch. And yes, I don't win all the time. I don't, right? So don't tail what I say. But I'm telling you, like, it has become more of a, like, I didn't have much skin in the game yesterday in that Monday night game against the Chargers. I love my Chargers, right? Any LA team. I mean, there's a reason why I'm wearing a Lakers shirt, right? I mean, like, any LA team I'm there for, right? But having to root for Henry Ruggs, of all players, I didn't have him starting in any leagues, but having to root for him to get, the win, it's exciting. And if you're interested in something like that, promo code down in the description. It helps me out. It helps you out. So if you're interested, it's a fun way to play more fantasy football for those of you who are interested. I didn't expect how much more exciting it would be, but my goodness, it's been pretty fun so far. And I'm just going to keep trying to, at least participate as much as I can, because my goodness, it gets exciting. Stressful, yes, but that's just fantasy football, Anyway, thank you very much, guys. If you can, I think there's about 500 of you in here. If you guys could click the like button, really does help me a lot. Let's hear. So a couple donations got sent in, but I want to look at the chat for a little bit. Ronald says, no question. Just wanted to say thank you for all that you do. Hit the like button, people. That's the least you can do. Thank you very much, Ronald. I appreciate that. Levi says, no, keep Saquon unless you need a wide receiver bat. Was someone trying to give away Saquon for Diggs? Yeah, no. Levi is 100% in this scenario. Mr. Smith, do not give away Saquon for Diggs. Keep Saquon rest of season. The guy looks like he's fully back. So thank you, Levi, for letting him know that. That's you're doing the Fantasy Lord's work there. Patterson is a sell very high. I agree, Levi. Levi's on a roll here. I'm starting to like you, Levi. Rank them: Damien Williams, Latavius Murray, or Gainwell. Are we talking about picking it up today? I think rest of season, Latavius Murray probably is the back there, so that's why I want him. As for who do I want to trust right now because they have better matchups and maybe they get more PPR work, then it's Williams. But ultimately, like I ranked it in my video yesterday, I'm going Latavius, I'm going Damien Williams because the extent of Montgomery's injury is 3 to 5 weeks. So I'm probably just going to go Latavius because I know I'll have him rest of season as a contributing back. Damien Williams or Corey Davis in the flex, half PPR this week. I don't even know where I have Corey Davis ranked this week. I'm going to be totally honest. So as much as that is a great question, I have no effing clue. I guess Atlanta or Damien Williams versus... That is a really... Against the Raiders? I mean, I feel like the Raiders matchup is really good, but so is that Atlanta. I don't know. That one's going to bother me. John H. was sent in a question a little bit earlier, right? Says, would you trade Mitchell for Antonio Brown? Or, yeah... Elijah Mitchell for Antonio Brown? Yeah, I don't mind that. I'm okay with that. I mean, I don't know what to expect from Mitchell. So I think you can potentially buy Antonio Brown at a pretty good rate right now. I got Alexander Madison for A.J. Brown. Wait, I got Alexander Madison for A.J. Brown. And should I trade Brandon Cooks for David Montgomery? Ooh. Brandon Cooks for David Montgomery. If you don't need Brandon Cooks and you have other wide receivers that are going to serve you well, then by all means, let's go buy David Montgomery. But David Montgomery is only a buy that I would ever suggest in the context of, hey, you're a 3-1, 4-0, strong 2-2 team that is at the top of your leaderboard in terms of fantasy points scored. That's the only reason I'd ever want to go buy a hurt running back that's going to be out for 5 weeks, you know? So just kind of put that into context. But I mean, listen, if you got the pieces for it, then why not? Matthew Burton says, I need a wide receiver. Who should I go for with Patterson and Antonio Brown? I was talking about it earlier. In terms of wide receivers that I like, that haven't produced very well this season, I really do like A.J. Brown. I really do. I like CeeDee Lamb. If you can somehow swap Patterson for Calvin Ridley, maybe that ends up panning out properly. Those are the guys that I like at this moment. And if you can go ahead and get them, then I would absolutely be happy with that. Chris M4 says, 2-2 record. How do I upgrade? I have a 10-team league, PPR, Dak, Aaron Jones, CEH, Cooper, Robinson. Robinson's got to get out of there. Unless that's James, but I think it's Allen. Kelsey, Harris, Mitchell, Pittman, Myers, Corey Davis, Woods. Okay. How do you upgrade your team? Ultimately, it's upgrading that wide receiver 2 spot. So Allen Robinson needs to get out of there. Corey Davis and Robert Woods and even, Jacoby Myers present better upside at this moment. And even at your flex, I mean, I like Damien Harris, but in a full PPR, I'm playing the wide receivers over him. How do you improve this team? I mean, what do you need to improve? You got 2 stud running backs. Cooper, Cooper's Cooper, inconsistent. Kelsey's fine. It's just a matter of, what are you looking to try to improve? I don't see where you need to improve. In a 10-team league, because everything I play is 12, 14, or 16-team leagues, I look at these teams and I think they're perfect, right? But in the context of the rest of your league, it is tough because they probably are all stacked. So wide receiver 2 is your biggest improvement point. Can you sell Corey Davis and get somebody better? Maybe. Thoughts on A.J. Brown? Please buy him, Luke. Luke Larson says, thoughts on A.J. Brown. Guys, he has been a 15-point wide receiver for his entire career. As long as Ryan Tannehill is at quarterback and A.J. Brown is healthy, I want him. PD says, I have 2 running backs this week, Patterson and Robinson. Because of injuries, should I try to ride it out with Jefferson, Mike Williams, Sutton, Deontay Johnson ideas? Wait, I don't understand. I have 2 running backs this week. Okay, Patterson and James Robinson because of injuries, right? So that your other running backs are injured is what you're saying. So you have 2 starting running backs. That's fine. And then the rest of your positions are Jefferson, Williams, Sutton, and Deontay. You can play one of them in the flex and you're good to go. Should you ride it out? Any ideas? I'm riding that out. You're fine. You have no problem. As for do you need to go trade for another running back in the near future? Yes, you absolutely do. Maybe you go and you trade Patterson for a better running back that has potentially more solidified upside value rest of season. That would be the only suggestion in that specific scenario because I don't know what the rest of your team looks like. But yeah, I mean, you should definitely try to get more running backs because once bye weeks hit, then what are you going to do? NV2435 says, I have Miles Sanders. I got offered for Josh Jacobs. I would take Josh Jacobs over Miles Sanders. Do I take it and hope for better days? Yes, I would take Josh Jacobs over Miles Sanders going forward. Jared White says, Tyreek Hill or Edmonds for Chubb and Waller. How'd I do? I like it. I mean, I'm thinking in the context of during the draft phase 4 weeks ago. Yeah, 4 weeks ago. Chubb was a first-round pick. Tyreek Hill was a first-round pick. And then Waller was a nice, juicy, late second, early third. Edmonds was in the 5th, 6th round. Yes, he's played well thus far and probably will continue to play well. But in terms of the long term, I'm okay with that trade. I like it. Patterson for Josh Jacobs. I don't mind that, Nick. If you're playing in a full PPR, it's a little sketchier because, Josh Jacobs isn't as high upside of a PPR threat, but he did catch the ball 5 times yesterday. McVay wants to get Woods more opportunities, quote unquote. I mean, what are we doing, right? McVay, what are you on about? Top 5 defenses. Frankie, for this week, That's a good question. Let's go ahead and see. Let's look at the schedule here. Top 5 defenses for this week. I like the Patriots versus the Texans. I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Dolphins. I like the Pittsburgh Steelers playing against Drew Lock, assuming he's at the starting quarterback position there. I also like the Dallas Cowboys. I like the Dallas Cowboys because they force turnovers against the Giants. And I also like the Baltimore Ravens playing against the Indianapolis Colts. That's my suggestions in terms of my, top 5 defenses. Hopefully that helps. Gabriel sends in a question. Okay, this is a good team. I didn't even have to read it out. I just looked at it. Kyler, Christian McCaffrey, DK, Keenan Allen, Andrews, Cooks, Boyd. Okay, and then we have bench. All right, okay. Can I plug? Okay. All right, so can I plug in bench running backs as RB2s for the rest of the season? Would you trade? Okay, who would you trade, or would you trade? Oh, man. Can you plug in bench running backs as RB2s for the rest of the season? And your bench running backs specifically are Connor, A.J. Dillon, Drake, Samaje P. Ryan Collins. The answer is no, you can't. James Conner, maybe, but he's not an RB. He's not an RB2. If he scores touchdowns every single week for the rest of the year, he's an RB2. But until then, he is a RB3 with incredible upside based on the offense that he is associated in. And he's exactly, in my opinion, Zach Moss. Zach Moss, associated with a good offense, will get 12 touches per game, will get 50 rushing yards, but until he scores that touchdown, he is an RB3. That's James Conner. Zach Moss is James Conner. Okay? Can you start him as an RB2 every week? Sure. Will he burn you? Yes. But that's just the nature of the beast with that kind of thing. Who would you trade? In terms of what you need to trade, I mean, this is a deep league. Like, there's a reason why you don't have that much depth at running back, and it all kind of fell apart here because you did pick first. You went with Christian McCaffrey, then DK, and then Keenan Allen in the second. And then you were able to grab Andrews. Who am I trading out of this team? I'm trying to trade all these receivers. Mooney, Green. I'm trying to trade A.J. Dillon to the Aaron Jones owner. I'm just trying everything because you do need a better RB2 option going forward. Eric says Zeke, Marvin Jones, and Pittman for JT and Keenan Allen. Wow. Eric, that is a really good question. My God, why is that such a difficult question to answer? I would probably say, look, when I look at Michael Pittman there, he's relevant to me. I'm looking at just Zeke and Marvin Jones versus JT and Keenan Allen. And I'm thinking that JT and Keenan Allen are probably the better two going forward. Okay. A couple more questions that were sent in via donation. I'm coming back into that chat. Isaac says, shout out Late Night Stream. Chat should sign up for Patreon. Keep up the great content. Thank you very much, Isaac. I appreciate that. JK says, should I trade Damien Harris and Jamar Chase for Henderson? No. Full PPR. No. You got to keep Jamar Chase. Absolutely keep him. And, I mean, Damien Harris, yes, he's not the greatest PPR guy, but you don't need Henderson for that. No. Grant sends in a question. Kenny Golladay, big game this week? I mean, he had a big game last week. This week against the Cowboys, it's a little bit tougher. We'll see what my hidden gems kind of lie. I don't think Golladay is as high in my mind in terms of, like, great overall upside. Andrew sends in a question. Says, I have Barkley and Robinson as my running backs. This week, should I put in Clyde at the flex and put in Terry McLaurin over Lockett at my wide receiver through and Russ as my quarterback? Okay. Barkley and Robinson, boom, those are done. Are we playing Clyde at the flex and put Terry McLaurin over Lockett as my wide receiver too? No. I would play McLaurin and Lockett. If this is a half or full PPR, I'm doing that. I'm playing the wide receivers over Clyde. Yeah, I think I'm playing the wide receivers over Clyde. I don't think Clyde goes for 100 yards. I think he goes for a little bit less. I think Clyde's like probably where he'll end up this week is like 14 points, 13, 14 points. That's what I'm thinking. And I think McLaurin and Lockett are capable of surpassing that in a half PPR. Full PPR, even better. Brian Jordan says, should I trade DeAndre Hopkins for DJ Moore? I want to say no because I know what DeAndre Hopkins is, man. And he's just pure consistency. Has he been that this season? No, he's dealt with an injury. And hopefully the rest of the season he can even that out. But, man, I don't – the fact that I don't know the answer to that should kind of speak volumes as to just how difficult it is getting to deal with some of these receivers that aren't producing. I'm not giving up on D-Hop, though, so I'd keep D-Hop. Bardia says, trade Christian McCaffrey for Alvin Kamara and A.J. Brown. Also, pick 2 this week, Carson, Fournette, Hubbard. Thanks, man. No, I'd keep Christian McCaffrey. I honestly would. I think Christian McCaffrey is as advertised. He's going to come back and be 27 points per game. He'll be worth more than Alvin Kamara and A.J. Brown in a singular week. And because of that, you'll have the ability to play another wide receiver that'll hopefully get you some value. As for your question, I'm playing Fournette for sure, and I'm playing Carson as long as he's healthy and playing. If he's not, then you have Hubbard and you're fine. And it might be crazy not to trade that because, you get a first and a second round pick for McCaffrey. But, I mean, McCaffrey's 24 points per game for a reason, guys. And a full PPR is like 28, right? Who should I target? Willing to trade Gibby and Ridley. Whew. Who should you target? I'd trade both of them and try to get Saquon right now, if you can. I doubt you can. Probably kind of the ship has sailed in that scenario. But maybe go try to get Alvin Kamara off that. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Latavius Murray or Myles Gaskin rest of season? Levi, that's a great question. I think it's a different Levi. To be honest, I think the ship is sailing for Myles Gaskin. In a PPR, he's not getting much work in the passing game. On top of it, he's not running the ball. I'm going to hope that the offense kind of turns things around, but I don't think it's going to, even with Tua returning. It's not looking good. In terms of receptions, I mean, he had 0 targets, 0 receptions this last week. Even the week prior to that, 3 catches. It's been progressively declining, and that looks like his value is progressively declining in my eyes, Start Antonio Brown or Tyler Lockett? Tyler Lockett this week. I have Eckler, Najee Harris, Carson, Thielen, Debo, Lamar, Fant, Laviska, Sutton, Madison, Chuba, Rieger on my bench. Any moves to make? Man, that is really hard to say. So we have a pretty good baseline of receiving options. Laviska's going to play well. Madison doesn't need to be on your team because you don't have Cook, but I guess it's a good thing. You have Chuba Hubbard. I would say try to trade Chuba Hubbard before the McCaffrey comes back because I do expect McCaffrey to come back and be unleashed. So Chuba Hubbard's value would go into, a limbo similar to what, what ends up being with Madison at this moment. Let's see here. Tyson Williams droppable? Yes, I agree. RW says BS Baldy. Listen, I don't mind being bald. I actually think it looks good. And at least that's what the... Anyway, I was going to say some stuff, but we'll keep that private. Let's see here. Peter sends in a question. And we have him saying, waiver plans are to drop Kirk, okay, and to get Sam Darnold. That's Kirk Cousins? Okay, so be it. And Conklin for Schultz, that's fine. Prioritizing Darnold because this week, week 11, okay, yep, sound okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, if you don't need Kirk Cousins, then sure. Unless that's Christian Kirk, either way. Darnold is playing out of his mind. Mark Merchant says, should I give up Allen Robinson? My other options for his replacement are A.J. Brown, OBJ, and maybe Tim Patrick or Rondell Moore. Please help. Should I give up on Allen Robinson? I mean, Mark, what does giving up on Allen Robinson even mean, right? Like Allen Robinson, you can't trade him for anything. Maybe someone wants to buy him off you, but it's for pennies on the dollar, and at this point, you might as well hold. So yeah, I think you just, if you can get somebody, because again, you're saying you have AB and you have OBJ, you can just play them until we end up figuring out what the heck's going on with Allen Robinson. Luke Larson says, I'm back, 12-team league. Should I trade Henry for Edmonds, A.J. Brown, and Mike Davis? No. Henry over all of them. 100%. I mean, come on. We're not trading Henry. You would have to literally give me an army of players and refill my entire roster with studs for me to trade Henry. I'm never going to trade Henry. Like, legitimately, the only players that I'm willing to trade Henry for is if someone comes up to me and is like, hey, I'll give you McCaffrey. Okay, we'll make that deal, but only when McCaffrey's healthy. Okay, outside of that, if someone comes up to me and is like, hey, I'm going to give you Zeke and Tyreek Hill, great, I'll take it. I need to win in the trade. I cannot worry about injuries and not scoring touchdowns and Mike Davis's bum ass, during the week. No, can't do it. I have Allen Robinson, Woods, Ayuk. Swift is my other RB. No, you keep Henry. No shot. Justin sends in a question, says trade Calvin Ridley and Nick Chubb for Christian McCaffrey? No. I mean, oh my God. Nick Chubb is a good running back. Do I want to trade him for... I can't. I just can't. It's against my religion in this scenario. Oh, man. Look, if you have Hubbard, maybe. If you're stacked at wide receiver, maybe. But in a vacuum, no. It's just too much. Would you rather play Sutton or Woods? Okay, Sutton plays against Pittsburgh. Not a bad matchup. Woods plays against Seattle. I'm going to play Woods there. Would you rather? Okay, Andrew, I have received a trade offer. Where did it go? What happened here? Andrew, I've received a trade offer, and I'm on the edge about it. I've received Swift, Stafford, and Kelsey, and I would be giving away Zeke and Kyler. Please help. What do you think? Swift and Kelsey and Stafford for Zeke and Kyler? Oh, man. I think the way of going about this is probably taking the trade. But Swift is such an unknown commodity, man. He's so inconsistent. Kelsey disappears for a couple weeks here and there. I'm trying to think about it in terms of the entire roster as a whole. If I have an extra 15-point running back and an extra another 15-point tight end in comparison to a 20 and a 10, overall, I don't mind it. But it is a tough trade to trade away Zeke at this point. But yeah, I mean, I don't mind it at this point. If you need the tight end, you don't have a good one, it's not a bad play. Not a bad play at all. Because like when I look at Stafford and I look at Kyler, they're relatively even because Kyler's not running the ball or not being forced to run the ball. And Swift in a full PPR with Kelsey, Zeke doesn't catch the ball. I think I go with the Swift side. Okay, we have Steven Shook says Cordero Patterson for either Henderson, Edmonds, or Jacobs. Yeah, I'll take any of them. Give me Henderson. Give me Jacobs. Give me Edmonds. Doesn't matter. Honestly, if I have to pick one, I like Henderson rest of the season. Solomon Reyes says traded Jamar Chase and Diggs and got CD and Saquon. I like it. Did I win the trade? Yeah, I think you did. Yes, absolutely. Looked at Jamar Chase. Looked at it as Jamar for CD and Diggs for Saquon. Loving Saquon and Lamb rest of the season. I 100% agree. That is a W, Solomon. Jesus says, give up Stephon Diggs and Javonte Williams for Patterson and Julio. I have Carson and Mixon. What do you think? No, I'm not giving up Stephon Diggs for Cordero Patterson. I'm trading Patterson for Stephon Diggs, but I'm not giving him up the opposite way. NBA GOAT says, flex full PPR. Edmonds, Myers, OBJ. Edmonds as of right now. Myers second. OBJ versus the Chargers. Yeah, we take it easy on OBJ. It would be Edmonds, Myers, OBJ in that exact order. Are you a Viking? Absolutely not. Vikings, typically, Tiago, don't spend their afternoons, eating everything in the fridge. Maybe they do, but they're certainly in far greater shape than I am. And yeah, but in terms of the beard, maybe. I mean, listen, this thing is like, it's untamed right now. It's a wild monster. I gotta talk to my barber soon. And when I say barber, I mean look in the mirror and get it done. Let's see here. Would you take Amari Cooper for Brandon Cooks? Yes, I would. Ridley for Darrell Henderson and James Robinson. Ridley for Darrell Henderson and or James Robinson. Take Ridley and give those pieces. I'd rather have the running backs. CD for AJ Brown. CD for AJ Brown. You're giving AJ Brown, you're getting CD Lamb. I don't mind that. I'll take it. Hey man, what's up, dude? Thoughts on Evan Ingram? There's so many guys in that offense. Like, there are literally too many receivers for Daniel Jones to handle, and I don't think Evan Ingram is finding himself success anytime soon. I mean, sure, he might have a couple games here and there, but nothing that I want to, start him for. All right, let's see here. Matthew Burns says, what should I do with JT or go Swift? I mean, Jonathan Taylor's fine. He looked great. 100 yards, rushing touchdown. Has he been inconsistent this year? Absolutely. Has his offensive line been hurt? Absolutely. Has his quarterback been hurt? Absolutely. But in the long run, I think Jonathan Taylor in a half PPR is the better option. In a full PPR, we could have the conversation for Swift potentially being the better option, mainly because he'll catch the ball maybe 70 times this year. And if that's going to be the case, it's going to, maybe even 80, maybe 90 times. And if that happens, then sure, DeAndre Swift in a full PPR could have the advantage. But for right now, I would say that you're fine with JT. Skylar Crabtree says, Diggs, Mike Williams, Debo, Woods, Shepard, Higgins, Rondell Moore at my wide receiver position. We have Jones as an Aaron, Davis, Hines as my running backs. Okay, you definitely need running back help. PPR, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 flex. Should I trade for a solid RB2? I absolutely do believe you should be trading for a solid RB2, maybe even trading for a solid low-end RB1. If you can somehow, some way, go and turn one of these wide receivers into, one of the low-key running backs. Like, I'm thinking maybe somehow, some way, somebody's going to give you, look, I keep saying it, but I really do think that Josh Jacobs is the guy that I want to have rest of season. I also do believe that, Antonio Gibson is someone I want to potentially go after. Someone in the chat was saying, what are you doing with Gaskins? I'm holding on to him unless I really need depth in my bench. And at that point, I'd be willing to drop him. Kirk Cousins or Trey Lance, if that's this week specifically, I would play Kirk Cousins against Detroit. Would you trade Hunt for Gibson and Gainwell? The Gainwell part doesn't entice me. As much as people may want it to, I don't really know what the heck that backfield is. So it's like Hunt for Gibson. Do I want to have Gibson or do I want to have Hunt rest of season? I want to say Gibson. Yeah. So I just go for that side anyway. Let's see here. Flex Eckler or Hunt this week. Projected 10 on both. Oh, so you're playing in a standard league. That's why. If you play in a standard league, Masenko, thank you for the donation, by the way. If you play in a standard league, I am more likely going to play the running back that's scoring touchdowns and getting yardage on the ground, and has an extremely better matchup. So I'd probably go Hunt there, which would be crazy to sit Eckler, but even in a standard league, if he doesn't score touchdowns against Cleveland, he's in trouble. But yeah, I don't like standard leagues for that reason exactly, because Eckler should be the answer 100 times out of 100. And it's tough. Parker says PPR, Julio or Jacoby Myers if Julio is active. I would like to give Julio a week and then figure it out. So I'd go Jacoby Myers there. Safe game against Houston. Just go Jacoby Myers. He's been great. Like 15 points each of the last 2 weeks in full PPR. Justin sends in a question. Flex, full PPR. Sermon, Allen Robinson, Devonta Smith. I play Devonta there. Thank you. Derek sends in a question. Traded James Robinson and Pittman for Taylor and Hawkinson. Did I win? I believe you won by a wide margin, my friend. Fant or Kelsey? Kelsey. I traded Kamara and Hines for Patterson and Hendo. I already have Swift. Am I dumb? RNG plays mobile. Listen, I'm not going to scold. I'm not going to degrade. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I'm just going to tell you outright that I believe rest of season, the players that you traded for, Henderson and Patterson, will not score more points than Kamara. Now, as a duo, maybe they can go ahead and help you win games, and by the end of the season, maybe they end up winning you a championship. I don't know. Only time will tell. But from what we've seen from the history of Alvin Kamara, he is a top 5 running back. And though he hasn't looked like it this year, I can assure you he will get back on track soon enough. But, maybe you perhaps jumped the gun a little bit there. Russ or Cousins? Russ against the Rams, or Cousins versus... I think I'm going to go Cousins there. Especially if Carson's out. If Carson's out, I don't want to touch Russ because I think the game just becomes a little bit of a mess. Russell Wilson has looked good this season, but against the Rams, he typically struggles. Psycho Cousins. Who could trade Josh? Who could I trade Josh Gordon for? Nobody. Josh Gordon hasn't played, and unless someone in your league is all about him, I would say probably nobody. Let's see here. Francisco says Brady, Eckler, Carson, Debo, DJ, Knox, Thielen. Bench is Claypool, JT, Galladay, Patrick, Robinson, Shepard. I don't know what to do. Bye weeks, trade suggestions. Bye weeks shouldn't scare you. I'm telling you. Don't worry about the bye weeks. If you get to a point where, you have a lot of bye weeks, then you have to trade, or not trade. You can dump off Tim Patrick. You can dump off Allen Robinson. You can dump off Shepard to go get guys that you need to play in a given matchup. So, trade suggestions in terms of this team. Carson is your RB2. I would say you probably need to improve that. How do you improve it? I don't want to trade Debo or DJ. Thielen's probably the guy that you have Jonathan Taylor. Wait, why isn't Jonathan Taylor in? Never mind. Your team is stacked. I don't know what we're talking about here. Latavius Murray says, for which... Latavius Murray says no. Freddie says, Latavius Murray target, for which wide receiver does Collins rank if Carson is out? If Carson is out, Collins is like RB 26, RB 27. He's ahead of Latavius Murray, I'll tell you that much, if Carson's out. But yeah, that's my idea, Freddie. Michael Pasco says Dak and Lockett for Kyler Murray. I'd rather have Dak and Lockett. Thank you. Brent says Sam Darnold and Ridley for Tannehill and D-Hop. Wow. Oh, man. Sam Darnold's been so good. Conventional wisdom would say, let's take D-Hop, let's take Tannehill. If you have to wait on Tannehill for a couple weeks, wait on him until A.J. Brown and Julio are back, and he'll be fine. Uber C says Allen, Swift, Henderson, Hill, Adams, Hawkinson, Mike Williams. Holy moly, these teams are looking good, guys. You have Hill and Adams. Like, what? Bench is Hurts, Hunt, Carson, Cooks. My God. Any trades to make? How can you make a trade with this team, Umer C. I said Uber. Umer C. How can you make a trade? Like, literally, your running backs are Henderson, Swift, Carson, and Hunt. And then your wide receivers are Hill, Adams, Cooks, Mike Williams. Like, bro, you're in a really good spot. Is my arm disappearing? I gotta put my arm down. You're in a really good spot, a very good spot. So I don't know what your record is, but you got an all-star team, my guy. DJ Santos says 12-team league. Do you recommend any of these moves? 2 RBs, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex. Dak, CD, Moore, Deontay, Corey, Jacoby, Eckler, Taylor, Gibson. My gosh. What the heck? Okay, 2 running backs and 3 wide receivers and a flex. That's a lot of talent you have on one team. My God. So if you're running... Okay, so if your receivers are CD, Moore, and Deontay, you're good. Corey Davis and Jacoby are just gravy as bench plays. Eckler and Taylor and Gibson are great. You have Andrews and Higbee as your tight ends. You have Dak as your quarterback. Like, how do you improve off this? Like, theoretically, on paper, your team should be great. Now, Andrews isn't playing well. CeeDee Lamb's not playing well. We've seen inconsistencies from Gibson and Taylor, and I understand you probably have a 1-3 record because of that. But it's really hard to improve this kind of a team on paper, in all honesty. These teams are too stacked to be asking questions at LeMayo. Yeah, but they play against stacked teams themselves. That's why. Do you trust Ertz? I trust Ertz as much as I trust Hurts, if it rhymes, it makes sense. So in this specific scenario, in good matchups where they're scoring a lot against bad defenses, sure. I don't think Carolina's a bad defense. Just putting it for this week. School Knight said, I just traded Tyreek Hill for Kenny. That's a good one. For a second there, I was like, wait a minute. That was funny. I'll give you that. Bonus points. Andrew sends in a question. Russell Wilson or Derek Carr this week? Derek Carr versus Chicago or Russell Wilson versus the I'd say, oh man, you know what? I'm leaning in the direction of playing Derek Carr there, in all honesty. I don't know about Russell Wilson versus the Rams. I mean, Kyler looked good, but that's a different offense. I don't know. We'll think about it. For now, I would say Derek Carr is not a bad option, but Russell Wilson probably has the higher upside because he is Russell Wilson, just purely, again, talent over matchup. I traded Debo and Edmonds for Taylor and Deontay. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. I think Taylor's a huge upgrade there for you. Martin R says pick up Latavius Murray, Javonte Williams. If you need a running back to start for the next couple weeks, like actually need him to play, then you pick up Murray. If you need someone to just like sit on your bench and in a couple weeks, maybe 7-8 weeks, go for him, then I think you're in a good spot to just go with Javonte there. Umer C says flex this week from the earlier team. All right, let me see here, Umer. Where are you at, Umer? Listen, if you have Hendo and Swift, Hunt is your flex. Hunt is your flex. Thank you. Tannehill, Danny Dimes, or Heineke today, or for this week. Heineke plays against who again? Let me confirm this. Heineke plays against the Saints. I don't really like that. As for Tannehill and Danny Dimes, Tannehill has the Jacksonville. All right, I think Toozer, as of your question, we'll have the answer 100% on Thursday afternoon once I post my video. If A.J. Brown and Julio are playing, I'm playing Tannehill over those guys. If they're not, I'm going to go with Heineke there. Solomon says, which two do I start? Corey Davis, Shepard, Damien Williams, Allen Robinson, Damien Harris. Half PPR. Which two do you start? Most likely, I'm starting Damien Harris and Damien Williams, and I would consider Corey Davis if, in fact, Damien Williams begins to miss any practices. If he misses Thursday practice and Wednesday practice, and let's say he's full on Friday, I don't care. I'm playing Corey Davis over him because I know that injury is a problem. Yoface says, guys, just got here. Great to be here. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, guys. You guys are sending a lot of questions. A lot of these are hard questions to answer, so I don't even blame you guys for not even knowing, because I look at some of these and think to myself, it's been so unpredictable this year that I'm like, there's no chance that I can theoretically say, this player over this player. It really is, it's tough. But with this said, how many of you are in here? 480. There's 260 likes. If you could, click the like button down below. Really does help out a lot. A couple more questions were sent through. J Money says, dudes, be like 14-team league, and then Cooks, Henry, Kamara, Adams, Hill, Kelsey, Kyler. Should I improve? J Money, I respect it. That's a funny one. Mono sent in a dono for $1, but there wasn't anything attached to it, Mono. Any waiver wide receivers better than Rob for weeks 5 and 6? Who's Rob? Thomby? Who's that? Who are we talking about? Who's Rob? I don't know who you're referring to. Let's see here. Saquon, Hubbard, Damien Williams, and Debo. Who do I sit? You are probably sitting. That's a good question. At this point, you have to play Saquon and you have to play Hubbard. Like those are the automatics, and you're flowing with them. Now, as for the other options, specifically the running backs, it's a matter of like what's the format, because I think there is a little bit more upside perhaps with what's his name, Damien Williams in a PPR. But I'm going to give Hubbard the benefit of the doubt that he'll get the targets. So, yeah, you're just sitting Damien Williams there. Even though you're picking him up this week, you're sitting him. Is it time to get rid of Lockett? That's a great question. Is it time to get rid of Lockett? It depends what you're going to get in exchange. I think that's really the determining factor here. Give me a second, guys. I got to check something real quick. Give me one moment. I got to do something. Thank you. Okay, cool. Yeah, look, you can trade Lockett away, but depends on what you're getting in exchange because he could have good performances, but the inconsistency is what we want to avoid. Let me see if Mono sent in a question. Mono, you sending something here? Mono says, I traded Josh Jacobs and DJ Moore for Bills defense for Tyreek Hill, Chris Carson, and Rams. I have Dalvin Cook, Murray, Sermon, Madison. How did I do? Tyreek Hill is better than DJ Moore, and I think Chris Carson is very equal to Josh Jacobs rest of season, so you win in that scenario. So, well done. Let's see here. So, the next question was Christian Ward. Says, Waller, Mike Williams, Lockett for Kelsey, Deontay, OBJ. I would honestly rather have Waller, Williams, and Lockett. Thank you. I don't even know what this name is. Iraq with the Mike Wazowski picture. I only have Chubb and Henderson. Okay. We still got good running backs nonetheless. What running back should I trade for? I have Mike Evans, Deontay Johnson, Waller, Jacoby Gronk, and Sanders. Okay, you have Waller and Gronk. I would trade Gronk if you can, in conjunction with like a Jacoby Myers, and try to go get Josh Jacobs if you can. Otherwise, if you need another type of running back, maybe you can go and like steal one of these PPR guys. But in reality, I think you don't want to break up your studs. You want to keep the Deontays, you want to keep the Evans, you want to keep Waller, you want to keep your running backs, and you want to go after guys that are relatively buy low candidates. Let's see here. Bryce Adams says Calvin Ridley or CeeDee Lamb rest of the season. Oh man, that one hurts. I'm at a position where I'm thinking it's still Calvin Ridley. So yeah, I'm gonna say Calvin Ridley. Mean Gene says Kenny G or Latavius Murray for AJ Brown. Yes, I'll take that. If you don't need the running back, by all means, let's do that. Let's get AJ Brown. Devin says, should I drop Trey Sermon for Trey Lance? If you need a running back or you plan on trading Trey Lance, you can. But for right now, Trey Sermon is the starter. And unless something, drastically changes, like Mitchell coming back or Williams being a huge option there, there is a pretty good chance where you'll be dropping a starting running back, which isn't the best idea. Let's see here. Fernando sent in a question. Fernando. Let me see if I can find it. What the heck? Why can't I find it? Okay, Fernando says, drop Gaskin for Latavius Murray. Yes. And then how do I donate? Oh, okay, you got it. Okay, you got it, Fernando. I got your question. You're chilling. TTJH 1967, the very generous donation. Thank you. Says, would you trade Jonathan Taylor and George Kittle for Dalvin Cook and Dallas Goddard? Yes, I would. Yep. Might be crazy, but I would. I think Dalvin Cook's that much better. All right. Michael Pittman or Marvin Jones? Marvin Jones. Because again, it is a really tough matchup to play against Baltimore with Carson Wentz playing as bad as he has. Should I play TJ Hawkinson or Schultz this week? Hawkinson plays against, what's it called? Minnesota. I like that matchup for him. I mean, if you want to play Schultz, you can. Shit, you may be able to even play Schultz in your flex. I mean, that's how well he's been. Chris Carson is injured. Yes, he is injured, but I think he'll still play. But I mean, unless he doesn't, then rankings subject to change, guys. Freddie sends in a mustache. Thanks, Freddie. Let's see what else. Let's see here. Jack Hammersley says full PPR. Chris Carson, Amari Cooper, Patterson for McCaffrey, Marvin Jones, and Slayton. Wow. Do I want Carson or Cooper, or do I want McCaffrey or Marvin Jones? I want Patterson. Oh man. Jack, if you're trading for McCaffrey, if you have Hubbard, I'm okay with it. Henderson or Gibson rest of season? Henderson. Just because the offense is just more potent. Gibson is getting lost in bad game scripts. He's not getting enough PPR work. Trade Carson for Metcalf? Yeah. Would you drop Kirk Cousins Kirk Cousins for Trey Lance. If you're not playing Kirk Cousins and you can't trade him and you're in a 1 QB league and you just want to see if Trey Lance can have a pop-off game so maybe he could start for you in the future or be a guy that you could trade, yeah, I don't mind that. Pittman or Waddle? Waddle playing against Tampa? Yeah, I'd go with Waddle, especially in a full PPR. Jeff sends in a question, says, how much fab for Damien Williams? Okay, so we talked about this earlier. And if you can, Jeff, just type it in the chat. How much fab did your league spend for Elijah Mitchell and Hubbard? I want to know that so I can tell you exactly how much you should probably be putting down. And how much total fab do you have, and what's the total of the league? Let's see here. The Real says, I have Terry McLaurin as my flex. I switch him for Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, or Emmanuel Sanders in a full PPR. Washington versus the Saints. Do I play McLaurin or do I play Saquon? I'm going to play Saquon, but McLaurin has to play for you somewhere, right? I mean, like, who's your wide receivers? Would you drop Conklin for Knox? 150% yes. Drop Ayuk for Myers? Yes, 100% Gary. I have Adam Thielen and Miles Sanders on my bench and need an RB. I need a RB1/2. Any good ideas for trades? I would say if you need an RB1/2, Gibson, Taylor, Jacobs. Those are the guys. Because like I can't suggest, hey, go out and trade for Alvin Kamara because he's too expensive. You're not going to be able to get him, but you may be able to get some of these other guys that haven't performed well. And I know it sounds like I'm a broken record, but really those are the guys. What do I do with Amari, Cryface? J. Michael McCartney, to be honest, what do you do with Amari Cooper? You hope he's healthy and you play him against the Giants because the Giants matchup is a nice one. As for can we trust him if he's not healthy, you probably have to hold at that point. And it's tough to hold, but Dak's not really looking at wide receivers right now. He's really looking at just feeding tight ends, which is tough, but that's just the nature of the offense as it currently stands. Man, week 1 really did hype us up for Amari Cooper, huh? And then he disappeared. What could have been? Elite X Baller 3 says, realistically speaking, who would you trade Miles Sanders for if you could get rid of him? If I could get rid of him, Josh Jacobs. Give it to me, please. If I could get rid of him, let's go down this list. I'm just going to go open up like the top running backs right now in a half PPR. Let's see what we can, like what I'd feel comfortable with, all right? Because I really do want to give you like the best possible answer here. But okay, like for example, would I trade Miles Sanders for Melvin Gordon? No, absolutely not. For Gibby, yes. For Mixon, yes. For Montgomery, no, because you need help right now. Clyde Edwards, yes. Connor, no. Carson, until we know his health, no. Henderson, yes. Moss, I'd consider it, but no, because I think there's upside for Sanders going forward. Trade for Dalvin Cook, guys. I'll keep saying it. For Fournette, I wouldn't mind getting Fournette rest of season. Honestly, I wouldn't mind. At this point, I'll sell for it. Let's see. All these other guys are irrelevant. I don't want Gaskin. I don't want Carter. Damian Harris, but he doesn't get any PPR work, so it's just, nah. Tyson Williams, no. Naeem Hines, no. Javonte Williams, no. Latavius Murray, no. Mike Davis, no. McKissick, no. Devin Singletary, no. Gainwell, no. Pollard, no. Connor, no. Jamal Williams, no. Chase Edmonds, yes. Chase Edmonds. Could you do that? Josh Jacobs, Chase Edmonds, maybe one of those guys. Could be good. Isaac Hoffman says, non-PPR, worst running back / wide receiver you'd offer for Montgomery? Worst one I'd offer for Montgomery? I don't even know what that means. Like, if I'm giving somebody for Montgomery, it doesn't even matter what you're offering. It matters what your record is. You have to survive 5 weeks without him. Maybe more. Like, honestly, maybe more. And maybe you can pick up Damien Williams and you can get value there. But in reality, I'm thinking you just have to be able to survive. It's not a matter of like what is the worst player I'd be offering for it. It's just like what do you have and what is that guy willing to take because of his necessities, right? Because like you have to probably give a running back to get a running back in your league because he's not going to be willing to give away Montgomery. Let's see here. Shahir says, full PPR, Zach Moss or T. Higgins for Kittle. I want to say yeah. I want to say it's probably not a bad idea, but Moss and Higgins will probably... I mean, Moss is a touchdown monster. When Higgins plays, he's a touchdown monster. Damn. I don't know if I can... I mean, in reality, if Zach Moss and T. Higgins are bench guys and it's going to improve your starting tight end, sure. But I feel like you might be able to just take Zach Moss and go get a 1-for-1 for somebody else and be okay with it and keep Higgins. Like if you're like, okay, I'm willing to just kind of wait it out. Let me go send Moss. Let me get, Dalton Schultz back. I don't even know if that really works. I think I'd rather have Moss. So yeah, in this scenario, you're okay with trying to get Kittle in this kind of a trade offering. Receive Waller and Adams for Antonio, Woods, Goddard, and Galladay. Antonio, Gibson, Robert Woods, Goddard, and Galladay, and you receive Adams and Waller? Yes, Josh. Yes. Or John Dennis. Yes, please. Take Waller and Adams. Hurry. Skylar Crabtree says, love the channel. Trust Woods or Galladay more rest of season. Purely based on quarterback play, I do trust Woods more because I do trust that Matthew Stafford is more likely to be a successful quarterback this year and spread the ball out. There's less receiving, threats in terms of guys taking targets away from Woods. I know Cooper Kupp has been a huge part, but that's going to kind of trickle down and go back to being more of a Woods offense. So I think Woods rest of season. Caesar says Herbert Lance this week. Okay, we're playing Herbert for sure. Am I getting cute here? Yeah, you are getting a little bit cute with that kind of a play. You just got to play your studs. Rushing ability is enticing, and Herbert has a tougher matchup, I think. No, listen, I 100% agree. I do believe that technically the Cleveland Browns matchup is more difficult than the Arizona Cardinals matchup. But we're also talking about a rookie in his first ever start in the NFL. The other team doesn't have tape on him. They're going to implement new running schemes and all this kind of stuff, but it's Herbert. You don't want to get too cute. Eric Sandoval says, full PPR, do I trade A.J. Brown for Kittle with Pitts on my bench? I don't think you need to. But if you want to, you can. And start Connor, Gaskin, or Murray. If we're starting one this week, I'm playing Murray, then Connor, then Gaskin. Since Christian McCaffrey's injured and I have Hubbard. Okay, cool. So Hubbard's obviously playing. But in terms of like A.J. Brown for Kittle, you have Pitts already. I don't think you need the tight end. Personally, I don't think you need it. Unless you think Kittle is going to be like that much better going forward. I don't think he's going to be that much better. I think we'll get a couple good games, but he's not going to be like 15 points a week. I don't know if we're going to get that Kittle anymore. Dylan says, do I trade Mixon for DeAndre Swift? Yeah. I mean, if you're playing in a full PPR, I'd say yes. If you're playing in a half standard, I go with Mixon. Freddie Garcia says, MJJ, Marvin Jones Jr., or Michael Williams for the flex. I'd play Michael Williams there. Thank you. Danny says, Kamara thoughts? Wait for Thomas to open offense up. I mean, I don't think Michael Thomas opens it up that much. I think it's just Jameis Winston, his average depth of target, and the fact that this offense is just a running team. They just want to run the ball. That's why they couldn't beat, the Giants. They had an early lead, then they just couldn't convert in the second half. They couldn't move the ball. And that in itself is a devastating part of that offense, especially when Kamara is the best receiver in that offense right now and not getting any targets. It is scary. I'll tell you that much. Am I worried long-term? No, because I think they'll come to their senses and be like, what have we been doing? Why aren't we passing the ball to Kamara? And then they eventually will. Antonio Garcia says, should I offer Mike Davis and Cole Beasley for Sanders? Do you think it's enough to do you think it's enough to pull it off? It depends on what the Sanders manager needs. Personally, if you can get Miles Sanders for Beasley and Davis, I would. Because I don't mind buying low on Sanders because you never know. Was offered Kittle, Thielen for Kyler. Really? I picked up Hurts on waivers.
Should I try to trade Hurts instead? My team is Kyler, Tyreek, Woods, Najee, James Robinson, Gesicki, Edmonds, Ayuk, Cordero. This is what I'd say. If he wants Kyler, and he won't, there's no two ways about it. He wants Kyler Murray. He's offering you Kittle and Thielen. You automatically take it. You take it. Yeah, I would take that. And I just play Hurts every week. But if he's willing to take Hurts, by all means, let's do the little bit of a switcheroonie there. Joey Law says, started with Christian McCaffrey and Mostert. Tough. Would you start? Who should I start until Christian McCaffrey's back? Singletary, Gainwell, Elijah Mitchell. Or should I look to make a trade? I have Murray, Metcalf, Kupp, Evans, Debo. I mean, listen, you've got great wide receiver options. If you can go and get some running back help there, you possibly should. I mean, again, there are a lot of running backs out there that have underperformed this season. Specifically, let's go ahead and read them off the top. Josh Jacobs, extremely underperformed. He's RB number 46 right now. Scrolling. I would be willing to go and buy Dalvin Cook at all costs. I'd be willing to go buy Darrell Henderson. I'd be willing to go buy Antonio Gibson. I'd be willing to go buy Joe Mixon right now because people are worried about him. Let's see here. But if you had to start one, Singletary, Gainwell, or Mitchell rest of season, you'd have to play Singletary because he's getting the most opportunity. Michael says Hunt or DeAndre Hopkins for Dalvin Cook. Hunt and DeAndre Hopkins for Dalvin Cook. Yes, I'll take Dalvin. It may be tough right now because we're looking at how much Hunt is putting up and what potentially D-Hop could do, but Dalvin Cook is that guy. Tyler Lockett or Michael Williams rest of season? By the way that this offense has looked, I want to hope that it's maybe Mike Williams, but I think it's going to be Tyler Lockett. RB, McCaffrey, Sanders, Hubbard, Gaskin. Lost Mostert, Tyreek Hill, Ridley, Allen Robinson, Mike Thomas, Pitts and Goddard are my tight ends. Am I screwed? Currently 1-3. I don't think you're screwed. I think you need you need McCaffrey back more than just about anything. So this is my suggestion right now, Fernando. You got to trade Michael Thomas. You got to trade Allen Robinson. You got to trade Goddard. You got to trade Sanders, Sanders and Gaskin. Trade everyone except for your 3 or 4 main pieces and rebuild the whole team. I'm not even kidding, because we can't wait for the guys to come back. We need to just start winning now. And I don't know if this team can get it done. Not Jacob says pick 3, please. Cooper, Sutton, Boyd, Robbie. Wide receiver 1 is Tyreek Hill. Cooper and Boyd. Those are my suggestions, not Jacob. Tiago says drop Dak for Darnold. No. Pick up Darnold, but don't drop Dak, because week 7, Dak has a bye week, and Darnold's the guy that you're going to play in that week when when he's on your bench. Mike says, I'm 0-4. My QB sucks. Carr and Tannehill. Okay, Carr is not bad. Should I use my priority on Darnold or get Williams for trade? Okay. My other quarterback. Okay, or Heineke and Lance. Personally, I think unless you really do believe you can turn Damien Williams into some piece, you're more likely to find more success just getting Darnold there. Because if you already have running backs and you're not going to trade Damien Williams and you're not going to play him, you might as well just get the guy that's going to contribute to your team right now. So that's what I'd probably go with. What time is it? 10:40? All right, guys. I've been here for about 2 hours. I'm going to go for another 20 minutes. All right, 20 minutes. Here we go. I'm ripping off through the chat. Is Gaskin droppable? Yes. For Darnell Mooney or AJ Green. If you're playing a standard or a half PPR, I think Green is probably a better option. Mooney in a full PPR is probably better, though. Debo or Henderson for Saquon and Evans. Yeah, I'll take the Saquon and Evans side. Thank you, Chris. Let's see here. We have Moss, Patterson, Davis, or Sanders. Pick 2.5 PPR. Moss, Patterson, Davis, or Sanders. Okay, look, this is going to maybe change by the end of the week, but for right now, it's Patterson and Moss, Andrew. Is Kyler/Elliott for I get Allen/Kamara a good trade? Or I got Diggs too? No. You keep Kyler and Elliott. They're better than Kamara and Allen right now. Thank you, though. Appreciate it. Rams and Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, Knox, Denver defense, Marvin Jones. Am I in a good situation? Yeah, you're in a good situation. 1, 2, 3, the beast. You got a pretty good looking team there. What was this question? Trade David Montgomery and Mike Evans for Alvin Kamara? Sure. Yeah, I'm good with that. I just got here. What's up, Justin? We're going to be shutting down soon, but just want to do an impromptu thing. Let's see here. What are we looking at again? Okay, Xavier, I see that you're spamming. Just take it easy with the spam. I'll look at your team right now. But again, for future reference, guys, if you spam, I'm not going to pay any attention to you. I'm not going to answer your question. But, Xavier, I will answer your question just so you're, kind of mentally handled because you are spamming like a madman. I got you, though. I appreciate it. The support being here. Thank you. All right, you say I have Tannehill, Derrick Henry, Zeke, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, Marquise Brown, Corey Davis, good wide receiver core, Allen Robinson, Rashad Bateman, Curtis Samuel, Michael Thomas, TJ Hawkinson. I'm 1-3. What do I do? If you're 1-3 with that team, I would suggest getting a better quarterback. How? Go get Darnold off the waivers. Go get Kirk Cousins off the waivers. I mean, at this point, go get Daniel Jones off the waivers. You need a better quarterback. As for your running backs, Henry and Zeke can't be replaced. Your tight end's a stud. Your wide receivers are good. So you just need a better quarterback at this point. That's my thought. Tim Gables says, OBJ thoughts. I would have thought he should have played better last week. I really do think that he should have played better. Unfortunately, he didn't. Without Jarvis Landry in the lineup, he should be a significantly better running back, in all honesty. Wide receiver, in all honesty. But I just feel like him and, Baker, they just don't click, and it sucks. So for now, low-end wide receiver 2 going forward. Maybe wide receiver 3, in all honesty. Let's see here. Mike came in with another question here. It says, RBs are James Robinson and Zeke, both out week 7. Okay, so if they're both out week 7, then you need a running back. So then in that case, your priority should go for Williams. And then if you're not able to get Darnold, you're fine with Carr this week against the Bears. Miguel says, I appreciate your help, Brody. Keep going up. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thoughts on Hopkins and Kyler spreading it out? Yeah, it is tough. Hopefully, Hopkins gets a little bit more love going forward, but should be fine. Is dropping all my fab 70 out of 100 for Damien Williams okay? I have Aaron Jones, Murray, Sermon, Gainwell, McKissick, and A.J. Dillon. Listen, theoretically, right? To make your playoffs, you need to survive 14 weeks and have a winning record. 8 wins minimum in the 14 weeks to make your playoffs, theoretically. If you spend 70% of your fab in week 4, leaving the next 10 weeks open to not get the number 1 waiver when X, Y, or Z player tears their ACL, you're potentially handicapping yourself. With that said, if you believe all you need is one piece away, because again, I don't see the rest of your lineup here, Chan, but if you need one more running back and that's all you need because the rest of your team is solidified, then okay, we can potentially talk about it. But I think 70% of your fab, unloading the clip in that capacity is way too much. Now, I had a question earlier that someone sent in. Oh man, I forgot who it was. Now I'm going to be tilted. Someone had sent in a question about fab. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, damn. It was Jeff. Okay, Jeff, I got to see if your question's here. Jeff, are you still here? Jeff T, you sent in a donation earlier. Cordero, Patterson rest of season? I mean, listen, he's the number 3 running back. Is he going to sustain that? Absolutely not. All right. Connor Fitzpatrick says, I'm 1-3 in a 10-team league. I got Wilson, Zeke, Carson, Hill, Lockett, Pitts, Cooks, Damien Harris in the flex. How do I get better as I'm currently sitting with Michael Thomas and Jeff Wilson in my injured reserve? Okay. So in terms of improving this team, let me explain to you the problem.
Connor, your team is the all in or all out team. When you have Hill and Lockett as your wide receivers, you're either getting 30 points or you're getting 3 points. And I hate that. And can that be adjusted? I would say maybe try to get a more consistent wide receiver too, so that when Hill doesn't have his good weeks, you can still survive. But it is tough to get a consistent wide receiver too. I mean, the idea of a consistent wide receiver too doesn't really exist in fantasy, right? And even me saying it, it's like an oxymoron, right? Consistent wide receiver two don't exist. That's why they're wide receiver twos. But for now, I mean, it really is hard to improve your guys' teams, unless people in your league are willing to give away pieces for practically a W on your end. Because oftentimes, in order to make trades in my leagues, I have to be losing in the trade overall to get the players I want. Let's see here. Should I trade Stephon Diggs and Sermon for Christian McCaffrey? Yes. 100% Mitchell. Mitchell Hopkins? Yes. Rate my team, or says rate me, says Freddie Garcia. Mahomes, Kupp, DJ Moore, Dalvin Cook, Moss, Kittle, Mike Williams. Good looking team. RB2 could be a little bit improved, but to be honest, based on the way that the rest of the team looks, you're in a good spot, Freddie. Trade away Zeke or Swift for Thielen and Waddle. Trade away Zeke Trade away Zeke for Swift, Thielen, and Waddle. I don't want to do it. I want to keep Zeke, but you might have to. I mean, like, Swift and Thielen are not about. Man, I'm gonna keep Zeke for now. I'm gonna keep Zeke. Okay. You're still up? Yeah, I'm still up. Listen, guys, I don't really do these things. I don't come out here and live stream for 2 hours and 10 minutes, and I'll probably go for another 10 until almost 11 p.m. my time. I don't really do this because usually right now I'm working on the wide receiver video for the next day. I'm doing all the research. But instead, I'm going to have to go. I looked at my wrist as if I had a watch, by the way. But, you understand. I'm not going to look at the bottom of the screen because you can't tell. But, I'm going to have to go in, probably stay up until 3 in the morning. But it's all worth it because I'm here to help. That's what I want to do. Okay. How many of you guys are in here? 438. If you guys haven't hit the like button, please go ahead and do so. It does help out a lot for me and the channel. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here just a tad bit. A couple more donos were sent in. Caesar Estrada, non-PPR, J-Rob, Mike Williams, enough to get Christian McCaffrey. I believe it is enough. Yes, I believe it is enough. Should I package Robinson and Carson for another player need a running back? Should I package Robinson and Carson? I mean, look, if you're going to send James Robinson and Carson for a running back, you better be getting Zeke in return or something. You better be getting a stud running back. It's really hard to trade a guy like, James Robinson having back-to-back 20-point weeks, and then Carson, like a top 20 running back, and not get somebody studly in return. Chan was saying, thank you, appreciate it, Andrew. No problem. Marvin Jones Jr. or A-Rob. We're going to go with MJJ there, irrelevant me. Hal says, have Cook, Henderson, Swift, Javonte Williams. Who should I trade away for my wide receiver? I have wide receivers DeAndre Hopkins. Okay, so if you're going to trade away a player, I wouldn't trade away Cook, Henderson, or Swift. I'm keeping all of them. I'm in all honesty, Hal, I would keep your roster. I would just try to pick up a wide receiver off waivers. I would go after Jamison Crowder, Hunter Renfro's, guys like that may be available. Laviska Shenault. I don't know if he's available, but you know what I mean? I'd go after those guys and play him instead of Golladay if I need to. But Golladay looked good last week. Appreciate it, Andrew. No problem. Super Dope Street Man, thank you very much. No problem. Listen, guys, I'm always here to try to help. Obviously, I don't get to do this as often because talking for 2 hours straight and then obviously recording all day, it's tough. But I will assure you, I'm going to try to do this more often. I will certainly try to put a time aside. My schedule is very interesting. It is tough to stream. You know what I'm going to ask you guys? If you guys could, I'm going to try to answer you guys' questions right now, but I'm going to get to Kevin. He sent in a donation real quick. Let me know, is there a interest to watch streams like this on a Monday or Thursday night when there are games on? Should we do it after the game? I'm just curious. Want to play League of Legends? Yes. After this, I'll play some League of Legends. Okay, give me a second. Full PPR 3-1. Hurts, Adams, Diggs. Okay. AJ Brown,
James Robinson, Mike Davis, Knox, Higgins, and then your bench is Dylan, Sermon, Gallup, Tannehill, Drake. What do I do? Okay, so we have Hurts, Adams, Diggs. Okay, Adams and Diggs are great. A.J. Brown's great. Then our running backs are... Okay, so we need another running back. I don't know where your running backs went, man. Kevin, in fact, I don't know where they went. I have no clue. I think Tuesday's the best before waivers. That's what I was thinking as well, Chan. I don't know what to do with your running back situation. How do you improve this? You might have to break off a piece here. Like, what I mean by break off a piece is you take A.J. Brown or you take Stephon Diggs and you go get a running back. I think that's the best case scenario, Kevin, because Dylan, unless somebody gets hurt, doesn't do anything. Sermon, unless Mitchell or Jeff Wilson stop existing, not the best play. Gallup is a wait. Drake is not going to look good. So you're going to have to break off one of these wide receivers for a running back in order to replace that Mike Davis spot. Post the game stream. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, guys. Maybe Mondays, Thursdays. I don't know. We'll see. Sunday morning live stream. That's what I already do, Relevant Me. I already do that. Please tell me you're joking. Please tell me you're joking. Please tell me you're joking. After the game would be lit. Yeah. Listen, you know what I would love, guys? I love a reality where I could stream the game live and talk over it and explain to you guys everything that is happening. But that's a different conversation. I used to coach football for a while, so I know the X's and O's pretty well, but it's hard to explain them when I'm talking about stats in fantasy instead of just talking about it just straight up. Man, I wish it was possible. I really do. That would be so cool, but unfortunately, not possible. Franklin sent in a donation, said, improve my team, 0-4. Murray, Tannehill. Okay, so Murray's your starting quarterback. You're fine. Chubb and Hunt, great. We're starting them both. Javonte Williams and Pollard. Metcalf, Deontay Johnson, Woods, Boyd, Kittle, Knox. How do I improve this team? In all honesty, right? If I'm looking at this team and I have it in a 12-team league, I am really happy with it. In all honesty, like Hunt and Chubb are two of the top 10 running backs in the league right now, right? Deontay Johnson missed a week, but every other week consecutively has been 12 or more points in a half PPR. DK Metcalf has a little bit of inconsistency, but it was great. Boyd, popping off. Kittle's a little bit thing, but you have Knox. Maybe you want to go ahead and throw him in that conversation. How do you improve this team? Oh, shit. Like, unless you're going to be like, you know what? Give me Hunt. Let's take Hunt. Let's take Boyd. Or maybe take Hunt and take Knox and give me, XYZ top 5 running back. That'd be the only way, really, in all honesty. Trade my McLaurin for Stafford and Boyd? No. McLaurin is not your problem. Is your who is your quarterbacks? B. Silva? AJ Garcia says, have Rodgers, Gibson, Carson, Woods, Julio, Kelsey, Hubbard, and Koo. Koo needs to be replaced, man. He should have been dropped 4 weeks ago. We talked about it in the week 2 waiver wire. Got to get rid of him. Or week 3 waiver wire. Excuse me, my bad. With Christian McCaffrey on the bench, I'm 1-3. I need some help. Okay. No. Yeah, okay. So Koo needs to be replaced. If and when that's done, you probably you're in a full PPR. At this point, you need to go and get you need to go get a Jamison Crowder off the waivers. And I think he would honestly be better than Julio right now, in all honesty. What do you suggest for Ayuk going forward? If you can hold him and you can afford to, then sure, you can hold him. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. Jump on Twitch, done. George Largos, to be honest, Twitch would DMCA the shit out of me. That would be even worse. I'd get live banned on stream, The NFL is no joke. They'll do that to you. Henderson and Carson for James Robinson and Swift. Yeah, I don't mind that. Especially in a full PPR. Hey, Andrew, with Lev Bell going back to the practice squad, do you hold on to Tyson Williams? You could hold on to Tyson Williams, but I don't think it's going to pan out too much. But you certainly can. Yeah, listen, if you have the availability to hold on to him for another week, let's go ahead and give it a shot. My QB is Russell Wilson. In what context was this said? I don't remember. Pick 2, Damien Williams, Hubbard, or Jamar? Hubbard and Jamar. Crowder or Corey? As of right now? Like rest of
like to pick up. If I'm picking up one of the two Jets receivers, if you're in a full PPR, I think the way to go is Crowder. I think if you're in a half or a standard, you go Corey Davis because he has higher upside for yardage and touchdowns in comparison to the receiving game and the total receptions. All right, guys, it's 10:55 on my time. I'm not going to sleep anytime soon, but I certainly have to go and start working on my video for tomorrow. Either way, I appreciate you guys coming out. Is Chenault on the wire? Okay, Chenault on the wire a trap? He's pretty highly rostered. No, he's not a trap. He should be picked up. Chark is injured, and I think he might be out for a while, maybe the rest of the season. Is DeAndre Hopkins worth trading for? Yes. Listen, guys, the guys who have been studs, DeAndre Hopkins, Dalvin Cooks, these are, stud running backs and wide receivers for a reason. Go get them. Can I drop Ayuk? I don't mind that. Anyway, just wanted to remind you guys, rock out, send in a donation. Time to drop Callaway for Raymond. Khalif Raymond, really? Is that what we're doing? Maybe. At this point, yes. Let's just say yes for now. All right, last thing I need to mention. Underdog Fantasy. If you guys haven't checked it out, a lot of fun to be had there. You can go down to the description of the video, click on the link, use promo code Andrew. If you make your first deposit of $10 or more, you get $10 of in-game bonus cash. Good to go. It really does help me out a lot. Like, in all honesty, it helps me out a lot. And I'll sell it as that. Besides playing fantasy football, if you're trying to support me, besides viewership, besides Patreon, that kind of stuff, Underdog Fantasy is another way to do it, guys. Does help out a lot. So I do appreciate you guys for today. I want to answer a couple more questions before we leave because I know you guys have been in here for a while, and I hate the fact that I would leave anybody unanswered, and I really do hate that. But again, there's only so much time I have. I traded J-Rob and Tyler Boyd for Adams. W question mark? Yeah, I don't mind that. I think that's good, especially in a full PPR. Thanks, man. You're the best. Yeah, no problem. Okay, Kenneth Gainwell question mark? Yeah, pick him up. 14-team league. Oh my God, this is such a long question. LaVisca or Damien in the flex full PPR? LaVisca? Yeah, most likely LaVisca. He's done for the night. Guys, go to sleep. And I'm just I want to answer a couple more of these quick ones, man. You guys that are dropping the full teams, it's really hard to go through that very quickly. Should I sell high on Cordero Patterson? Yes, 100%. I would sell high on him. There's no way a guy like that is going to be scoring 3 touchdowns every single week, right? So you got to sell him high because this is the best performance he's had in his career and maybe he'll ever have going forward. So you got to sell high now. If you don't have time, don't worry about it. You're good, brother. I'm trying to get to them. Appreciate it. Yep. Okay. When healthy, what do you think about a half PPR? Murray, McCaffrey, Johnson, Shepard, Waller, Myers. I don't mind that, but I like that team more in a full PPR because Shepard and Myers don't score touchdowns. They're half PPR studs. AJ Brown or Josh Jacobs in the flex. I don't know if AJ Brown's healthy. We'll know tomorrow once if and when he practices. But for now, we know Josh Jacobs is healthy, so you go with that. And Melvin Gordon or Williams. I mean, listen, long-term Williams. Right now, Gordon. How many points do you think Zeke's gonna get? Zeke's playing against the Giants. I mean, it's pretty safe to assume he gets 18 points this week in a half PPR. Hubbard or Hollywood PPR. We're going to play the receiver there. Okay, guys. I got to go. I appreciate it. Thank you all so much. We'll do this more often. I can assure you that. Again, you guys are the best. Tomorrow, wide receiver video. Should be exciting. Should be fun. I got to work on that right now. And until then, guys, see ya. Have a good one. And if you guys are staying up until waivers run, which I'm going to be doing because on my Yahoo League, it runs at exactly 1:15 a.m., I'm going to snipe everything that comes off that is not picked up. Thank you, guys. Okay, Atomic Rock says, should I trade DJ Moore for D-Hop? Oh, man. I was talking about that earlier. I said I think I trust D-Hop more long-term, but it is tough to trade DJ Moore when he's on fire. That's what hurts. Sermon or Alex Collins, RB2. It depends if Carson's out. If Carson's out, I'd go with Alex Collins. Andrew is the Gotta. Chad, come on. Thanks for not answering my question. I asked 15 times. I know you're trying. Okay, yeah, I'm here right now. Right now, Dragons. I'm here right now. What is your question? Dragons said, I'd like for a response. Rate my trade.
I have Kyler, Devontae Adams, and Judy. I got Dak, CD, and Amari. Kyler, Dak, and Judy. Okay, so here's the thing, Dragons. I mean, that's one of the riskiest trades you could possibly make, right? Because you just took on 3 Cowboys. If the Cowboys offense starts to really stop running the ball, because they're running the ball 30 times a game right now. If they stop running the ball, then maybe that can flourish into the greatness that we anticipated and we saw in week 1. But it's really tough to assume that we're going to see ultimate greatness out of that. For now, I like it, but we really legitimately need to see this offense throw the ball, 40, 50 times a game. And their defense looks so good this year that they don't have to. They just run the ball, they kill the clock, they play good defense. I mean, they're so confident in their defense, they cut Jalen Smith today. They just let him go. They're like, all right, you're out. Bye. So, putting it out there. Pick up Crowder for Woods? No, I'd rather have Woods. Give Kamara and Edmonds for Adams and Sanders? No. I'd rather have Adams and Saquon, but not Sanders. No. Okay, Renfro for Javonte Williams. If you want Javonte Williams, if you want Javonte Williams. I traded away the Cowboys. Oh, Dragon. Okay, then you're in a good spot. There it is. Hey, there we go. All right, you're in a good spot. Thanks for answering, though. I mean, listen, guys, I'm trying my best. Listen, I am. I'm trying. Trust me. I know how it feels to be in a chat and ask a question and not have it answered. It feels like shit, and I'm trying my best to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm trying my best, guys. Lockett or Kenyon Drake for D-Hop? I'd rather have D-Hop. Yes, do it, Canadian Raider. Let the man go, people. Trade away Alvin Kamara? No, keep him. Thanks, good night, no problem. Hey, man, Hunt, Julio, Woods. Who am I flexing? Hunt. All right, guys, that's it. I'm done. I'm just turning off the stream. Good night. I appreciate you guys. Sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Link down in the description. Otherwise, I'll see you all tomorrow. Love you guys. Peace. Later.